Chapter 4997. The blue-robed dark-haired young man's sleeves fluttered in the wind. His messy long hair, which was not tied up, swayed along with the hurricane. Long Yunzhan. Fourth Elder Jiang stared at the blue-robed dark-haired young man in disbelief as he spoke in a hoarse voice, You dare to lay a hand on me? The young man's hand which was holding the sword moved slightly. The profound glow encircled his entire body. Everyone's vision was concentrated on him. The young man slowly raised his head. A chilly gaze, as though it was covered with thousands of years of frost, shot over. He opened his eyes. Group leader. Tong Ziqing also saw Long Yunzhan's opened eyes as her heart started to race. Did this mean that he had regained consciousness? But that youth, who was sealed in ice for thousands of miles, did not even look at her. He just stared straight at Fourth Elder Jiang coldly. The chill in his eyes seemed as though he wanted to tear Fourth Elder Jiang into pieces. Immediately, the young man raised his hand and the majestic profound glow exploded as the sword wave neared Fourth Elder Jiang, carrying endless murderous intent. Fourth Elder Jiang's heart tightened. Long Yunzhan, do you know what you're doing? Bam bam bam, the surrounding heaven and earth's spiritual qi, under the profound glow, started to form layers of ripples. It surged forth violently. Long Yunzhan's attack didn't stop because of Fourth Elder Jiang's words. The blue light was as fast as lightning as it broke through Fourth Elder Jiang's defense as the long sword fell. No one is allowed to slander her. An icy cold voice was spat out from the blue-robed dark-haired young man's mouth. Every single word was heard clearly. Fourth Elder Jiang's expression was as dark as charcoal. Just because he said something bad about Yiqing Luo. This lad just broke through his control and made a move on him. How loyal was this lad to Yiqing Luo? So that when he was unconscious, his body's natural reaction had already made a subconscious action to protect her? Group leader? Has group leader regained consciousness? Hearing Long Yunzhan's words of protection, Tong Ziqing's eyes suddenly lit up as her tone was filled with agitation. Then, he dragged his injured body towards Long Yunzhan. A fair hand pressed down on her shoulder, stopping her from moving. Behind him, the girl's soft voice came, Don't go over, he's not awake. But he just. If he wasn't sober, how could he have attacked Fourth Elder Jiang? Yiqing Luo's curly long lashes drooped slightly as her heart was deeply shaken. Long Yunzhan had actually slandered her because of Fourth Elder Jiang. He broke free from Fourth Elder Jiang's control. However, this was only Long Yunzhan's instinct. This was not his behavior when he was sober. He had to bring Long Yunzhan back. If they left Long Yunzhan here, that would only make the people from the Palace of Darkness. He wanted to cause more damage to Long Yunzhan. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Fourth Elder Jiang. If you want to sever that elder's control over your friend, you'll have to deal with that elder first. Now, Long Yunzhan making a move against Fourth Elder Jiang was the best opportunity. That was why Long Yunzhan attacked Tong Ziqing and them. It was all because of Fourth Elder Jiang. She had just noticed it. Fourth Elder Jiang seemed to be controlling something in his hands. Yiqing Luo raised the machete in her hand as she flew towards Fourth Elder Jiang's direction. Fourth Elder Jiang was avoiding Long Yunzhan's attack. His peripheral vision took a glimpse. Another piercingly cold silvery blade was coming towards him. His expression sunk. Third Elder. Chapter 4998. Yiqing Luo's machete had yet to come close. From the side, a burst of overbearing profound light swept over. Profound ripples spread out, continuously returning in the air. It was as if it wanted to devour everything in its surroundings. Third Elder Jiang smiled sinisterly at Yiqing Luo, Young lady, you're still too inexperienced. Third Elder Jiang's attack was extremely terrifying and full of murderous intent. Yi Qing Luo moved sideways to avoid it. She waved the silver machete in her hand, her lips curled into a cold arc. Third Elder Jiang, you're not my target. So, let my husband play with you. She leaped backward. Behind her was a man in a bamboo-colored brocade robe and jade belt. His face was green and immature, like an ignorant playboy. He leaped to the front of the young lady. The invisible hurricane was fluttering. The man's beautiful figure stood against the wind. Just standing there. It made people feel fear. Third Elder Jiang had no time to retract his attack and directly went against the man in brocade robe. A yellow-haired kid who was still wet behind the ears. Even if he was talented. That's just an inexperienced brat. How dare he put on an act in front of him? Third Elder Jiang sneered, his palm strike rolled up a more vigorous profound chi. Ah Yun, be careful, don't kill him. At the same time, he heard the young lady's soft and sarcastic laughter. This was like the fuse that ignited Third Elder Jiang's inner anger. Yi Qing Luo glanced at Third Elder Jiang, who was rushing towards Dmo Xian. She curled her lips into a smile. Then her figure flashed and she had quickly rushed towards Fourth Elder Jiang. That idiot! Fourth Elder Jiang could not help but curse when he saw that Third Elder Jiang had actually fought with another man while protecting him. Fourth Elder Jiang, the young lady's soft voice floated into his ears. Immediately after, he saw a peach-red robe flashed past his eyes. The young lady's machete had already reached his neck. Fourth Elder Jiang's face darkened as he stared at Yi Qing Luo with a treacherous gloominess. He couldn't detect the slightest fluctuation of profound chi from this young lady. There was no way to identify the opponent's profound grade. This situation, there was only one explanation. This girl was wearing some sort of treasure that could conceal her aura. Someone who knew how to hide his aura. There had to be some special reason. Fourth Elder Jiang looked at the girl with an even more probing gaze. Swish, while Fourth Elder Jiang was deep in thought, in the air, there was the sound of a sword cutting through the air. It was unknown when Long Yunzhan had charged towards Fourth Elder Jiang with his sword in hand. Her opened azure eyes were like stagnant water, without the slightest fluctuation or ripple. His face was expressionless, but there was only a murderous intent. Long Yunzhan. Fourth Elder Jiang gritted his teeth and growled Long Yunzhan's name. He narrowly avoided Long Yunzhan's sword wave. Then, he raised his hand and was about to touch the thing in his hand. A cold light flashed. Fourth Elder Jiang stared in disbelief at the direction where the cold light came from. That petite girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes actually directly faced Long Yunzhan's sword wave. The blue profound light slammed heavily into the girl's body like a tidal wave. However, the girl didn't care. She directly broke through the sword wave. In a blink of an eye, she had already appeared in front of him. That biting cold shining big machete flashed past his eyelids. Ah! Fourth Elder Jiang cried out miserably. His wrist was cut by the blade as blood gushed out and dyed the blade red. An item fell from his palm. Trash Seventh Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash Seventh Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 4999. That was a human-shaped puppet. The size of a palm. It was meticulously carved from the best quality wood. The puppet had a nose and eyes, even the clothes on it were lifelike. Yi Qing Luo only took one look and she could tell. This puppet was carved on. Who else could it be if it wasn't Long Yunzhan? Fourth Elder Jiang used this to control Long Yunzhan. Yi Qing Luo's sleeves fluttered as she swept the puppet into her palm. You, return the thing to me. Fourth Elder Jiang's face sunk when he saw that. He couldn't care less about his bleeding hand as he struck towards Yi Qing Luo, trying to get the puppet back. Bam! An extremely thick profound wave seemed to have crossed the mountains and rivers as it pressed forward. Fourth Elder Jiang had yet to get close to Yi Qing Luo. He was slammed onto the ground by an invisible profound wave. As soon as fourth elder Jiang turned his head, he saw third elder Jiang lying on the ground, moaning in pain. Fourth elder Jiang's face turned pale as he looked towards the direction where the profound wave came from. He saw that man who was originally fighting with third elder Jiang, was now holding the seriously injured Yi Qing Luo expressionlessly. That pair of pure and innocent, sapphire-like eyes. But it seemed as though it was gathering a storm. He just stood there, hugging the young lady without moving. His entire body emitted a terrifying and vast aura. Just indifferently, he swept a glance over them. That gaze was as though he was looking at a corpse. It brought along an invisible horrifying pressure. It was shocking. Third elder Jiang and fourth elder Jiang's hearts suddenly trembled as they stared at Dmo Xian in disbelief. Who was this man? How could he have such a powerful ability? Bring him away. The man's deep and icy cold voice spoke out indifferently. He was obviously looking at Yi Qing Luo. But Tong Ziqing knew that this sentence was meant for her. She immediately went forward and carried the motionless Long Yunzhan onto her body. Long Yunzhan wasn't very cooperative. The man directly grabbed the young lady's hand which was holding the puppet and squeezed hard. Long Yunzhan's stiff body suddenly turned soft as he closed his eyes and fell onto Tong Ziqing's shoulder. "Commander!" Tong Ziqing cried out worriedly. "He won't die." Dmo Xian interrupted coldly. "Let's go." In the surroundings, there were more than 100 profound practitioners guarding them. At this moment, no one dared to take even half a step forward. Looking at that young and harmless man. To be more precise, it would be more appropriate to describe him as a teenager. However, he only managed to touch the other party's aura. It was as if their bodies were nailed to the ground. Unable to move. He could only look on helplessly as he slowly left with the black-haired girl in his arms. Until the person who had barged into their headquarters completely disappeared before their eyes. After the suffocating pressure disappeared, Yi Qingtang's eyes widened. Only then did everyone feel as though their lives had been saved. Trash. A bunch of trash. Third elder Jiang was so angry that he gnashed his teeth and roared. This roar affected the wounds on his body, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Fourth elder Jiang wore a dark expression as he allowed the guards to lift them up. The third elder of Jiang clan was still throwing a tantrum and cursing. Fourth elder Jiang was having a headache from all the ruckus as he squinted at third elder Jiang and spoke in a cold voice, "What are you shouting for? They are trash, aren't you trash as well? What do you mean?" Third elder Jiang flew into a rage when he was scolded. Fourth elder Jiang's eyes sunk. "Haven't you noticed? That young man. His ability is not something that you and I can match up to. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 5000. Third elder Jiang's face was livid, but he didn't say anything. He had fought with that man before. No one knew better than him exactly how terrifying that man's strength was. Perhaps it was out of his reach, perhaps even the first elder would personally take action. None of them could defeat him. Third elder Jiang clearly remembered, when the man looked at him, it was as if he was looking at an inanimate object. Clearly, that face, he looked innocent and harmless. Those sapphire-like eyes were also pure and innocent. But it happened. But it was precisely this kind of illusion that made people relax their vigilance. Deceived him. Third elder Jiang didn't even see the man move at all. In the next moment, he was already lying on the rain. Then, the man looked down at him without any warmth. Third elder Jiang was absolutely sure. If that man wanted to, they could easily kill him. Yes, apart from the master of the Dark Palace. This was the first person who had ever shocked him. That man, fourth elder Zhang's expression darkened even further. If there's someone so young and so powerful in the realm of the gods, how could we not have heard of him? That man's name is Chao Yun, Chao, in the god realm. Which family with the surname Chao could raise such a profound practitioner with unfathomable strength? The two elders looked at each other. They could see a trace of probing in each other's eyes. Go and investigate. Investigate the identities of the two Raos. Yiqing Luo was carried by Dmo Xian as they sped forward in the dark. Tong Ziqing was carrying the small one and dragging the big one. Very quickly, he was left behind by Dmo Xian. The night was dark and overcast. Not even a single star could be seen. The atmosphere was depressing and depressing. Yiqing Luo looked at Tong Ziqing, who was getting further and further away. She wanted to ask the man to slow down. But when she looked up, she saw the man's cold face. In the end, Coward 4 shut his mouth. Anyway, with that scare from Dmo Xian just now. Third Elder Jiang and Fourth Elder Jiang were also lying on the ground, heavily injured. He shouldn't be able to catch up to them. Tong Ziqing would also be fine. Yiqing Luo comforted herself in this way. So he didn't say anything. The aura emitted from the man was very cold. It was so cold that even Yiqing Luo, who was in the man's arms, shivered. She shuddered. Nanren lowered his eyebrows. Her black eyes, which were as deep and bright as obsidian, stared at him. His eyes seemed to be surging with raging waves that he was trying his best to restrain. Yiqing Luo had goosebumps all over her body from being stared at, her hands clutching the sleeves of the man's robe, constantly deliberating on what words to say to break this strange atmosphere. He thought for a while. He didn't think of any suitable words. On the contrary, Dmo Xian's deep eyes stared straight at her and asked, "Does your wound hurt?" Yiqing Luo? Wound? Yiqing Luo had not expected him to be concerned about her the moment he opened his mouth. After a brief moment of shock, the young girl's heart suddenly softened. She curled her pink lips and shook her head at Dmo Xian. "It doesn't hurt." "If it doesn't hurt, why are you shaking?" The man didn't seem to believe it. Yiqing Luo. Could it be that she was frightened by his cold aura? But looking at the man's gloomy and inexplicable deep eyes. That kind of burning stare at her. As if she didn't give an answer, he wouldn't let her off. She simply hardened her heart and tugged the man's robe, complaining in a soft voice, "You scared me." Chapter 5001. The young lady's tender and soft voice had a tinge of grievance and coquettishness. It was obviously a deliberately pretended voice. It wasn't that the man couldn't tell. But under the young lady's accusatory soft voice, he still softened his imposing manner. "How did I scare you, The man's brows raised slightly, his mellow voice was filled with an inexplicable magnetism. Especially the last note. Like a hook, it slowly hooked Yiqing Luo's heart. Yiqing Luo almost couldn't hold it as she pretended to be aggrieved. She immediately kept the expression on her face as she bit her pink lips and continued to complain in a tender and soft voice, "You're angry, I'm scared. If you really know how to be scared, then that would be great." Dmo Xian poked her head unhappily. But the young lady cried out softly, "Ouch, it hurts." She was so shocked that she squatted in mid-air. Following that, he immediately rubbed the place where the young lady was poked. "What's the matter? Are you hurt here too?" He gently rubbed the young lady's head and his tone was so gentle that water could be squeezed out of it. But in response to him, was the young lady's soft laughter. Dmo Xian's brows sunk slightly as the palm that was rubbing the young lady's head stopped. His slender fingers slid down and clasped the young lady's chin. His deep and serene pupils collided with the young lady's charming eyes. "Is it funny?" His voice was low and deep, and there was a hint of dignity in his tone. Yiqing Luo decisively shut her mouth. looking at the man's expressionless and extremely stern face. She was terrified once again as she mumbled softly, "I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I won't laugh, it's not funny at all." "Wrong?" Dmo Xian sneered, "You really know that you're wrong?" A sinister smile appeared on his face. Yi Qing Luo was so shocked that she trembled. She immediately widened her eyes and blinked her eyes as she looked at Dmo Xian innocently, "Really, I really know that I'm wrong." "Then tell me, where did you go wrong?" Dmo Xian's brows sunk slightly as his words were filled with coldness. "Yi Qing Luo." She absent-mindedly licked her pink lips. Her fair hands slowly tugged at Rao's sleeves. That delicate and charming face had a hint of pitifulness to it. "I really know that I was wrong." With a soft voice, she grabbed the hand that was holding her chin and buried her head in Nan Rao's arms. "I shouldn't have put my body in danger." Little by little, she tightened her grip on the man's large palm. In her own way, she soothed the man's restless breath. "My mistake was that I shouldn't have welcomed Long Yunzhan's sword wave and charged at Fourth Elder Jiang, knowing that he couldn't differentiate between friend and foe. I was wrong. I shouldn't have let myself get hurt." An even bigger mistake, she raised her head bit by bit. Her pair of long and narrow eyes were like glass that had been baptized. They were bright and dazzling, and they even rippled with a sparkling light. "I shouldn't have worried you." After the girl finished. Slowly, he inserted his fingers between Nan Rao's fingers. They interlocked their fingers. "Can I apply for a chance to explain?" The young girl tilted her head as she looked around with her charming eyes blinking, as though she was begging. Earlier, when the young girl's delicate and soft posture was complaining and using that affectionate and sincere voice to admit that he was wrong, the man's vicious aura had already dissipated cleanly. Now that he saw the young girl in such a delicate and charming look, how could the man maintain that straight face? Chapter 5002. In the end, he had no choice but to pretend to be fierce, but in actual fact, he was filled with helplessness and adoration. "I'd like to see what kind of flowers you can explain." "I can't explain flowers." Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes and said seriously, "But, if Ah Xian wants flowers, I can give them to you. Don't change the topic." Dmo Xian pinched her face, "Explain properly." Yi Qing Luo immediately put on a serious look. "Zhan is my contracted human dragon. His attacks towards me will all be reduced by half. Moreover, when I rushed over, I conjured an enchantment to block off those sword waves. I'm not seriously injured, really." The young lady put up 3 fingers with a serious look. "Then you're still injured." The man was expressionless, unable to tell whether he was happy or angry. "I can jump, I'm really fine." In order to prove that she was fine, Yi Qing Luo even intended to struggle out of Dmo Xian's arms, hoping to perform a jump. The man's slender and strong arm locked her waist tightly. His tone was cold. "If you move again, don't move anymore." "Wow, you're so fierce." The young lady complained in a tender manner. Her slender hand grabbed the man's arm. "You actually dare to be fierce to me?" Dmo Xian. Wasn't she just fooling around? How did he become fierce? Although he clearly knew that this young lady was deliberately fooling around, to not let him be calculative, she deliberately put herself in danger to do so. But when he saw the young lady's pure as water, as if there were layers of ripples in her charming eyes, and that, the fake accusation and grievance in her eyes couldn't be any more fake. In the end, softened. He had really lost to her. Dmo Xian raised his hand, his slender fingers fell on the young lady's delicate fair face. Although it was something to disguise. But that touch was extremely real. He slightly tightened his strength. Pinched the young lady's face. This pinch was not merciful. The young lady's fair face instantly turned red. Ji Wuhua's disguise technique could be called face-changing. So even if this face was added with something to disguise. That pinch by the man, was Yi Qing Luo's real flesh. The young lady's eyes widened in pain. Punishment. The man let go of her and stared at her blushing cheeks. Then, he raised his hand and touched her face, feeling sorry for her. However, he still maintained his cold tone. If you know pain, then remember that you are a person protected by a man. You don't need to put yourself in danger. Yi Qing Luo harumphed as she pushed his chest. Men are all big pig trotters, you're fierce to me and still want to hit me, there's no way to live on. Even if you can't, you still have to. You can only live with me. Dmo Xian held the young lady's slender hand. Yi Qing Luo saw that the man no longer had the intention to get angry, her delicate and picturesque brows also restrained the playful emotions. She played with the man's slender fingers and pursed her lips. You were so domineering just now. You tortured Elder Jiang San and Elder Jiang Si like that. Aren't you afraid that they'll suspect you? Those two people were very good at making wild guesses. Just a casual conversation while drinking had almost stripped off her and Dmo Xian's disguise. Now Dmo Xian's move. A person like Fourth Elder Jiang. He was afraid that they would suspect Dmo Xian's identity. After all, Dmo Xian's strength could be described as reverse. The main reason why the Jiang family's aristocrats cooperated with the secluded palace was because they wanted to be superior. At this moment, such a powerful enemy had appeared. How could Fourth Elder Jiang not take it to heart? Chapter 5003. To be able to easily and effortlessly torture him and Third Elder Jiang to the ground without any chance to retaliate. If he was infuriated and targeted the Jiang family's aristocrats. Their Jiang family's aristocrats would definitely suffer losses. Fourth Elder Jiang would definitely investigate his identity as Chao Yun. Although this identity was under the arrangement of the imperial palace. It was basically flawless. Both of their identities were real, no matter how they investigated. But a fake was after all a fake. If they really found out something based on secluded palace's vigilant character, they would probably suspect her and Dmo Xian's identity. No way. Dmo Xian's brows remained unchanged as his eyes sunk. If I'm not willing, no one will be able to find out anything. Yi Qing Luo suddenly raised her head as her hands clenched into fists under her chin. Her long and narrow eyes blinked as it radiated a bright ray of light. A look of worship. Ah Xian, when you say this sentence, it's simply exploding. The young lady was smitten as she smiled like a flower. In the depths of his eyes, Bu Ling's bright light was like the brightest star. She stared so hard that Dmo Xian's heart was in a mess. His slender and powerful arms suddenly tightened around her as he pressed her into his embrace. His deep and husky voice made the ray in Yi Qing Luo's eyes even more intense. I really don't know what to do with you. By the time they returned to Jiang Ziyi's slums, Tong Ziqing and the rest were already in the slums. Upon seeing them back, Tong Ziqing got up and looked at Yi Qing Luo. Miss Muyu, please. Please save our group leader. Long Yunzhan was lying flat on a pile of withered straw as his expression was extremely painful, as though he was extremely unstable. The profound qi on him was sometimes strong and sometimes weak, in a mess. Tong Ziqing's heart was aching. From this young couple bringing them to rescue Long Yunzhan safe and sound. Tong Ziqing had already placed all her hopes on this young couple. Yi Qing Luo walked over quickly as she half-squatted in front of Long Yunzhan. She pressed on Long Yunzhan's wrist as she checked his pulse. Long Yunzhan's pulse was very messy. So weak that she couldn't feel any pulse at all. Yi Qing Luo frowned. Old man Tsang's voice came from his mind. He must have used up all the dark force in his body when he was unconscious. If Venerable D hadn't stopped him in time, I'm afraid, Old Man Tsang didn't finish his words. But Yiqing Luo knew what his unfinished words were. Yiqing Luo loosened her hand and took out the human-shaped puppet, asking in her heart, "What is this thing? Will it help Ajahn?" Witchcraft puppet. Old Man Tsang softly sighed. That witchcraft goo has always been nurtured in his body. This witchcraft goo doll is similar to that witchcraft goo, a medium that allows them to sense each other. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips. Then, through this witchcraft puppet, are we able to draw out the witchcraft in Ajahn's body? We still have to find the person who planted the goo as soon as possible. Old Man Tsang was silent for a while before saying this. The person who planted the goo, an aged face surfaced in Yiqing Luo's mind. In the Earth domain, the Gu family's people wanted to bring Elder Wu and Wuxia away. But the World Group's brothers originally guarded them tightly. But in the end, the Gu family's people managed to save Wuxia and Elder Wu. To cure the Gu, she had to make a trip to the Gu family. But the situation in the God realm was urgent. The longer she dragged on, the higher the chances of the counterfeit being discovered. Chapter 5004. If she were to bring Long Yunzhan over to the witchcraft aristocratic family now, and back to God Realm, God Realm would probably have a change of owners. By then, secluded palace would be even harder to deal with. Is it that the venom in group leader's body has worsened? Tong Ziqing saw Yiqing Luo's expression turning ugly bit by bit as her heart started to turn anxious. That cold and elegant little face was now covered with worry. There's something in his body which is suppressing that witchcraft venom. Plus this thing is in my hand, so his venom will be suppressed temporarily. Yiqing Luo stood up. Following that, she gazed deeply at Tong Ziqing. Are you really sincere in wanting to save him? Amen. Tong Ziqing's eyes lit up. You have an idea, right? I indeed have an idea. Yiqing Luo passed the World Group's token back to her. Are you able to contact the brothers in the World Group? Tong Ziqing went into a slight blank as she looked at the palm-sized token in her hands. Yes. Contact them and ask them to come over. Yiqing Luo glanced at Long Yunzhan. If it's just you alone, not only will you not be able to save him, you might even lose yourself. Tong Ziqing originally wanted to reject when she mentioned contacting those brothers in the World Group. The expression on her face had an unnatural expression which was hard to detect. But when she heard Yiqing Luo's last sentence, she seemed to have made up her mind as she clenched her fists tightly. All right, I'll go contact them. Saying that, Tong Ziqing walked out of the cave in quick steps. Just when she reached the cave entrance, Yiqing Luo suddenly opened her mouth. Ziqing. The young lady's voice was soft and it was still that tender tone. But when it fell into Tong Ziqing's ears, it was like a huge bell, pounding heavily into her heart. I don't know what happened between you and the World Group, or perhaps there's some misunderstanding. But, you must remember, you're a member of the World Group. No matter what you or your group leader did, you must be firm, and believe in one thing. The World Group is a family. You are brothers. The young lady's words were soft and didn't sound too serious. However, it made Tong Ziqing's heart beat rapidly. She met Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes in a daze. There seemed to be something surging in his eyes. Yiqing Luo met Tong Ziqing's gaze as her brows arched, revealing a gentle smile. Why, how did you? How did he know what she was worried about, what she was worried about? Yiqing Luo tilted her head, her smile was still as gentle as before, previously listening to those two elders' words, plus. Fourth Elder Jiang was holding on to the witchcraft puppet which could control your group leader. So, I can roughly guess what happened. But I think, no matter what happened, you guys are a team, a family. I believe that as a family, no matter what happens, we will understand each other. Tong Ziqing's beautiful eyes, which had always been cold, reddened slightly. She pursed her lips. She clenched her fists so tightly that her fingertips turned white. After a long while, the corners of her lips twitched, forming a smile that even she herself might not have been aware of. "I understand." She smiled as she opened her mouth, her eyes surging with emotions. "Thank you." Saying that, she had already speedily headed out of the cave. Yi Qing Luo kept looking at Tong Ziqing. Naturally she didn't miss it. At the instant when the woman turned around, indistinctly, she saw the corner of the woman's eyes. Chapter 5005. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly as her pink lips curled upwards. "Sister." Jiang Ziyi popped his little head out from the side, his sparkling eyes stared straight at Yi Qing Luo. "You're really amazing, you're not afraid of the dark void hall at all." On the little fellow's face, there was no longer the panic and fear that he had shown in the Anshu hall. That pair of sparkling eyes made Yi Qing Luo recall Feng Shi, that fellow. Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly. "If you're afraid, you wouldn't have come looking for me, isn't it?" She paused for a moment, then reached out and rubbed the little fellow's head. "You're great too. When you were in the Anshu hall, you weren't afraid at all." "Actually, I'm very scared." Jiang Zi lowered his head in embarrassment. "But when I think of Big Sister, Big Brother, and Big Sister Qing, no matter how scared I am, I will endure it." His dirty little face revealed a trace of envy. "Big Brother and Big Sister are so awesome, and," he blinked his eyes and was filled with curiosity, "Sister is also a member of the World Group?" Yi Qing Luo asked. "Why would you ask that?" "Because, when Big Sister was talking about the World Group to Big Sister Qing, she was very very gentle, as though there was light in her eyes." He clenched his fists. "I also wish to join the World Group. The World Group is merely a lower realm mercenary group. Do you want to join?" Yi Qing Luo looked at the little fellow's yearning gaze as she couldn't help but tease him. Jiang Zi's little face was serious. No matter what realm mercenary group the World Group is from, the fact that the World Group is able to appear in God Realm and fight against Ansu Hall for the sake of God Realm's peace means that we are warriors of justice. Justice knows no boundaries. I wish to join the World Group and learn from the brothers and sisters of the World Group. In the future, I'll be eradicating evil for the people and helping the weak." Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laugh. "I didn't expect you to be such a hot-blooded youngster, wanting to be a good person, in this world." The strong were respected. Power reigned supreme. There was actually such a pure-hearted child. To be a good person, what a good person. Yi Qing Luo's curly long lashes drooped slightly as her brows revealed a slight smile. "Yes, I want to be a good person like Big Sister." The little guy's eyes were sparkling. He smiled and said sincerely, "I am a good person." Yi Qing Luo rarely heard anyone use the word good person to evaluate her. She never thought of herself as a good person. However, whether she was good or bad depended on the person. For Jiang Zi, save Long Yunzhan, he fought against the Anshu Hall. He was definitely a good person. But to those from the Anshu Hall, it was nothing. She was definitely a bad person. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but rub his head. "Then, when the World Group's brothers and sisters come over, tell them to see if they can enter the World Group." Can I? Jiang Zi's eyes suddenly lit up like the stars in the sky. "If it's you, it might really be possible." Yi Qing Luo patted his delicate shoulder. "But before this, you must cultivate well to make yourself stronger. In this way, you will be able to protect the people you want to protect." The people from the World Group came very quickly. About 4 hours after Tong Ziqing sent out the signal, the large army had already arrived at the slums in a grandiose manner. Is Ziqing really in such a place? This place. Is Ziqing used to staying here? Is group leader together with Ziqing? Why did Ziqing suddenly send us a signal? Has she met with danger? Chapter 5006. Quickly search, see where Ziqing is. This lass, every time she gets into trouble, she's always shouldering it by herself. She doesn't know what use us brothers are. A large group of people were clamoring. Footsteps echoed throughout the entire slums. There's someone over here. Suddenly, someone cried out in shock. The few of them rushed over. Standing in front of one of the caves was a pretty young lady dressed in a pink dress. At this moment, she was smiling and waving at them. We meet again, everyone. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were stunned when they saw who it was. Madam Chao. Why is it you? Yes, it's me. Yiqing Luo tried her best to maintain her persona as she smiled coquettishly. I didn't expect us to meet again so soon. Xiao Jin's breathtakingly handsome face congealed slightly. His gaze swept the surroundings, and his tone was somewhat subtle. Madam Chao, why are you here? Because, I'm the one who asked you to come over. Yiqing Luo saw the vigilance in Xiao Jin's eyes as she purposely curled her lips innocently. Xiao Jin's expression congealed as expected. The few brothers behind him had already rushed forward. What did you do to Ziqing? Yiqing Luo's fair fingers propped her chin as her smile revealed a hint of laziness. If I did anything to her, what do you intend to do? Her slender eyes rose slightly. Kill me? You. Yan Xiaoyi's face turned chilly as she held a blue gleaming crescent-shaped sickle in her hand as she was about to charge towards Yiqing Luo. Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin hurriedly held her waist as he pulled her back. Don't act rashly. This young lady's ability couldn't be seen. But based on her arrogance, it was impossible for her to win. Her profound grade was definitely not low. Especially this young lady's husband. That young and tender-looking man who had no battle power at all. He was the real terrifying person. Why are you stopping me for? I want to take revenge for Ziqing. Yan Xiaoyi struggled. Xiao Jin's strength was huge as he held onto Yan Xiaoyi tightly. That pair of profound eyes stared straight at Yiqing Luo. Madam Chao, between us, there doesn't seem to be any deep hatred, right? That's right. Yiqing Luo nodded smilingly. Then, Xiao Jin's tone deepened. Where is Ziqing? Can you tell us? Ziqing. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. Make a guess. Mu Yu. The other brothers of the World Group could no longer suppress their anger. Madam Chao, stop messing around. A cold voice came from within the cave. A woman dressed in coarse clothes that couldn't hide her elegance slowly walked out. When he saw the brothers of the World Group, the woman's eyes reddened. Ziqing. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest were overjoyed as they pounced towards Tong Ziqing. One must know that ever since Long Yunzhan's witchcraft goo took effect and his identity as a member of the Nether Palace was exposed, they had never seen Long Yunzhan and Tong Ziqing. Tong Ziqing had been avoiding them because of Long Yunzhan. Now, they had finally met. Tong Ziqing and the bunch of sisters hugged each other as her gaze looked helplessly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Madam Chao just loves to joke around, don't take it to heart. Yiqing Luo's crafty fox-like eyes curved. If I don't say this, how can I let you know that towards you? How much they care about you, how much they value you. Chapter 5007. Tong Ziqing went into a slight blank as her cold face was dyed with a blush which she had never seen before. The young lady's pink lips curled slightly as she continued with a smile. If there's any conflict or misunderstanding as a family, just talk it out face to face. What's the situation? Xiao Jin looked at the two ladies smiling at each other as he was still in a daze. Tong Ziqing walked towards Xiao Jin as a warm smile surfaced on her cold face. Because of my relationship with group leader, I've caused a lot of trouble for everyone, I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? This isn't your or group leader's fault. Yan Xiaoyi took a big step forward as she hooked onto Tong Ziqing's arm. This is all Secluded Palace's fault. Moreover, we're a family, so what's right or wrong? You silly lass, surely it's not because you feel guilty towards us, so. That's why you've been avoiding us, right? Tong Ziqing lowered her head in embarrassment, which was considered as tacit agreement. Luckily you still have some brains and now you know to contact us automatically. Yan Xiaoyi used her little fist as she punched Tong Ziqing's shoulder. Say it, contacting us automatically, is it because you miss us or you need our help? They were all brothers who had experienced life and death together. There was no need for any words. They could easily know each other's thoughts. Yan Xiaoyi and the others being able to reunite with Tong Ziqing was a joyous matter. But being in God Realm, which was such a dangerous place, the joy of reuniting had to be delayed temporarily. Missing you is one reason. Tong Ziqing's brows revealed some melancholy. Secondly, I'm the one who asked her to contact you. Yiqing Luo interrupted Tong Ziqing's words as she continued, I know who you're looking for in God Realm. The world group's expressions congealed. Pairs of vigilant eyes shot straight towards Yiqing Luo. The young lady's picturesque brows curved like a crescent moon as she didn't put their vigilance in her heart. She was still smiling lazily and leisurely. Madam Chow, what do you mean by this? Xiao Jin was the first to adjust his expression as his handsome brows rose slightly as he asked. Yiqing Luo smiled, last night when I followed Ziqing to Dark Void Hall to save your group leader, I heard some news. The young lady of the Feng family seems to have exposed her whereabouts because of your pursuit. The power above the Anshu Hall, that dark nether palace, seems to have sent people to follow that Miss Feng. As soon as the girl finished speaking, the faces of the world group's members turned cold. Nonsense. Bei Ming Lu was the first to lose her composure as she stared at Yiqing Luo with her eyes wide open in disbelief. We've always been careful when we do things, how could we possibly be discovered by the Secluded Palace? This is the God Realm, not the lower realm. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly, her long and narrow eyes revealed a hint of coldness. Her pink lips curled up carelessly. No matter what, we have a common enemy. I also don't wish for you all to die at the hands of the Anshu Hall. Does Madame Chow have any evidence? Xiao Jin was still considered calm as he put on a cold expression while looking at Yiqing Luo, as though he was trying to find other traces from Yiqing Luo's face. Yiqing Luo's picturesque face didn't have the slightest fluctuation of emotions. I don't have any evidence, after all I just heard it casually. If you don't believe me, then don't believe me. You. The world group and the others still wanted to say something. But they heard Tong Ziqing's cold and melodious voice, as it firmly rang, I believe you. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5008. Tong Ziqing's cold and beautiful eyes looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking. I believe in Madame Chow. If it wasn't for Madame Chow, I'm afraid last night Commander and I would have died in the Dark Void Hall. It was Madame Chow and her husband. They saved me and Captain together. The corners of Tong Ziqing's mouth faintly curled upwards, revealing a sincere smile. Moreover, Madame Chow didn't ask me to contact you just because I overheard those words in the Anshu Hall. Instead, it was for Commander. Leader? Xiao Jin looked at Tong Ziqing. How is the guild leader now? Not good. Tong Ziqing shook her head. He hasn't had his own consciousness for a very, very long time. Everyone fell silent when he saw Long Yunzhan before. Long Yunzhan was still conscious. Knew to warn them. He even knew to go easy on them. But now, it had been a long time since he had self-awareness. This also meant that the shaman goo in Long Yunzhan's body had already penetrated deep into his bones and blood. If this continued, I'm afraid their leader would never be able to wake up. Xiao Jin pursed his lips as he pondered for a moment, and his vision shot towards Yiqing Luo. Madam Chow, do you have any good ideas? Yan Xiaoyi and the rest still wanted to say something. But when he saw the young girl's lips curled up slightly and her emotions were unclear as she looked at Xiao Jin, for some reason, they stopped what they wanted to say. For some reason, somehow, he felt that this young girl exuded a familiar sense of trust. I don't have any good ideas. Yiqing Luo spread out her fair little hand. In her palm was a human-shaped puppet, but there is a solution. This is. The world group and the others crowded forward as they stared at the witchcraft doll. The carving of the puppet was extremely lifelike. Everyone could tell at a glance who this wooden puppet was. Commander? Yan Xiaoyi stared at the witchcraft puppet. What is this? Why? Commander? The thing in your commander's body is the heart-devouring parasite, right? Yiqing Luo put on an unfathomable tone. This kind of parasite is too sinister and the person who poisoned it is needed to cure it, so you have to go to the witchcraft family and find the person who cast the goo and cure him. If we don't hurry up, I'm afraid. Everyone understood Yiqing Luo's unfinished words. At that moment, their expressions changed slightly. It was not easy for them to reach the god world. To search and then leave, to go to the witchcraft family. But Yiqing Luo had yet to be found. They hadn't had the chance to help Yiqing Luo at all. Was he leaving just like that? He seemed to have seen through their thoughts. Yiqing Luo's eyes became much gentler and her voice also softened. This is a witchcraft puppet that can sense the heart-devouring parasite. Bring this witchcraft puppet to the family and find the person who planted the parasite. With this, it will be very easy to cure the parasite. She paused for a moment. However, whether or not the person who planted the goo will be able to remove the goo is up to you. She dares not to cure our captain's goo? Yan Xiaoyi's pretty face turned cold. Cure the goo, I'm going to make her fall. Do you really think that the world group is easy to bully? Baiming Lu patted her on the shoulder and looked towards Yiqing Luo. How did you know? Seeing this thing, how could I not know? Yiqing Luo waved the witchcraft puppet in her hands. Towards this parasite poison, I have some interest, so I learned a little. I can help to cure the small parasite, but this kind of heart-devouring parasite, I can only go to the witchcraft family. Chapter 5009. Yiqing Luo stuffed the witchcraft puppet into Xiao Jin's hand. You must take good care of this puppet. This is the key to saving him. Xiao Jin gazed deeply at the witchcraft puppet in his palm, as he slowly tightened his grip. Yiqing Luo turned her head and walked into the cave. The others looked at each other in dismay. Following that, they followed in. The cave wasn't big to begin with. It was instantly filled with people, as it seemed a little crowded. Jiang Zi was so frightened that he shrank behind Dmo Xian. The man sat on a stone bench by the side. Beside him was a table which was so broken that it seemed as though it would fall apart with a light bump. A bamboo-colored long robe, a seemingly innocent and tender man. Just sitting there. It caused this poor cave to look a little more noble. As though the stone bench he was sitting on was made out of the finest white jade. When the crowd saw Dmo Xian, that face was clearly very young and pure. That pair of gem-like eyes, pure and clean. But the crowd, inexplicably, felt deep veneration for him. The crowd quietened down. Until they saw Long Yunzhan, who was lying in the straw with a pale face and a pained expression. They had forgotten about the pressure in the air. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest rushed to the side of the straw as they squatted down, looking at Long Yunzhan. What happened to group leader? Yesterday when we were saving him at Dark Void Hall. Dark Void Hall's elder used the witchcraft puppet to deplete group leader's profound energy. Tong Zi-Ching explained, as her long eyelashes drooped slightly, if we don't get rid of the goo quickly, I'm worried group leader won't be able to make it. Let's head to the lower realm immediately. Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fists tightly, as her pretty face revealed a chilly intent. Don't be anxious. Yiqing Luo walked to Dmo Xian's side, holding his hand as she sat beside him. The young girl held the man's slender, jade-like hand as she raised her head to look at Xiao Jin. Don't forget what I said. Right now, all of you have already been targeted by the people from the Dark Void Hall. Or perhaps, it's that power above the Dark Void Hall, the Dark Void Palace, that has targeted you. If you leave with your captain just like that, the people from the Palace of Darkness might take back the goo puppet and the captain before you even reach the lower worlds. The young lady's words made the world group and the others turn silent. After a while, Xiao Jin asked, what method does Lady Chao have? I suggest, Yun has a jade pendant that can absorb people into a warm jade to nourish them, but it won't last long, at most half a month. I can lend you this jade pendant. You can take it with you and secretly head to the witchcraft family. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard that. If there really was such a warm jade, it would naturally be the best. Madame Chao's words were not without reason. The people from the Palace of Darkness were definitely watching them from the dark. Just like that, they carried Long Yunzhan out of the God world. He would definitely be captured by the Palace of Darkness. With this jade pendant, it would be much more convenient. Xiao Jin raised his eyebrows. What is your request? I'm hiring you to protect my safety. Yiqing Luo's narrow eyes curved. I'm now on the Dark Void Hall's wanted list, so it's more dangerous if you're here to protect me, then I don't need to be afraid. When Xiao Jin heard this request, he was slightly stunned. He looked past Yiqing Luo, as he looked towards Dmo Xian. This man's ability was unfathomable. With him around. Did he need the world group's protection? Yiqing Luo only smiled, as she had no intention to reply. Chapter 50-10. In any case, we have the jade pendant. Some of you, bring your captain to the witchcraft family to look for him. And the other part is to follow me and my husband responsible for our safety, that's all. Yiqing Luo paused for a moment, as though she was pondering over something. Oh right, you only need to follow me to the entrance of the Devil region and you'll have completed your mission. Everyone in the world group turned silent. To be honest, they had just arrived in the God world. Before he met Yiqing Luo, he didn't want to leave like this. However, the matter regarding the regiment commander couldn't wait much longer. Under the surveillance of the Abyss Palace. Separate them. Wasn't that even more dangerous? If the Palace of Darkness suddenly attacked, Yiqing Luo didn't urge them to give an answer, my husband and I. After we have settled the matter at Dark Void Hall tomorrow, we will set off. By then you can give me an answer. In the slums. Because of the world group's arrival. It was much livelier. Not knowing if it was because the Jiang family's elder was injured, or because they were afraid of Dmo Xian's prestige. It was because Yiqing Luo had made Jiang Ziyi to poison her. In short, the people from the Dark Void Hall did not come to the slums to cause trouble. In order to maintain her persona, Yiqing Luo did not fall off the horse. He tried his best to avoid being alone with them. He directly pulled Dmo Xian along and randomly searched for other slum dwellers' cave dwellings, leaving the time for the few of them to interact with each other. The entire slum had been massacred by the Anshu Hall. There were a lot of empty spaces. How does it feel to see your own brother in front of you, but not be able to recognize him? The man's low and playful voice rang out from behind her. Before Yiqing Luo could turn back, she was already locked into the man's arms. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, probably like, I'm in disguise right in front of you, but I can't recognize you. I don't like this analogy. The man raised his eyebrows slightly. Can they compare to me? That matter-of-fact tone made Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. You're jealous of them? The man grabbed her shoulders and turned her around. He held her chin with his slender fingers. But, you're wrong about one thing. No matter what you become, I will recognize you at first sight. The man's clear and hoarse voice was like smoke, drifting into the girl's heart. It instantly struck the soft spot in her heart. Yiqing Luo's brows curved as her hands hooked onto his neck. Dmo Xian embraced her and placed her on the stone bench. Then, he lowered his head and buried it on her shoulder. His tone was a little dissatisfied. It's not easy for me to be alone with you, but you're going to bring a bunch of people and disturb our peace. His tone was filled with resentment and grievance. It reminded Yiqing Luo of the feeling of a large loyal dog. She stretched out her little hand and stroked the man's head. She laughed softly and said, I also want to be alone with you. But if we don't do this, they won't be able to leave the God realm. She sighed softly and wrapped her arms around the man's neck. The people from the Palace of Darkness have their eyes on them. I saved them yesterday, and at this time, most of their troops are running down to the lower realm. The Palace of Darkness will definitely guess the reason, and if we let a portion of them descend to the lower realms and leave a portion of them in the immortal realm, I'm afraid they'll go look for Miss Feng. By then, the thing that we're worried about will still happen. The young lady raised her head and used her head to rub against him. Only by letting them follow me, the person who is being watched closely by the Palace of Darkness, will they be safe. Chapter 50:11. But on the other hand, you won't be safe. Dmo Xian's tone was slightly sunken. That's right. They might be safe. But because of the world group, the majority of the troops were on her side. It would only make the secluded palace take notice of her after she had disguised herself. Both of their goals. To search for the God Emperor's tomb based on the profound flame heaven's pivot map. The secluded palace's people noticed them. Why would they need to disguise themselves? Their aim of searching for the God Emperor's tomb would also be obstructed. Even if they're not around. After this mess from Dark Void Hall, I'm afraid the secluded palace will not let me off easily. Yiqing Luo said, based on the secluded palace's suspicious character, perhaps if I bring them along, it might make their imagination run wild, making blind guesses, and it's easy to guess wrongly. The young lady's pink lips curled upwards as her little hand rubbed the man's head fiercely. She rubbed the man's black hair till it was messy before she stopped. Moreover, you're here, the young lady's tender voice had a tinge of coquettishness in it. Dmo Xian's eyes sunk slightly as his slender jade-like hand poked the young lady's face. This trick again? Who taught you to act coquettishly? Seeing you, I figured it out on my own. Yiqing Luo's slender eyes curved as she raised her fair little hand and held the man's hand which was poking her face. My dear husband, don't you like me to act coquettishly with you? I like it, but... The man's eyes deepened. Aren't I being eaten up by you? Don't tell me that husband isn't willing to be eaten up by me? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as her tone raised. My honor. The man's slender and powerful arms suddenly tightened as he pressed her into his embrace. Outside the cave, the figure who was about to enter the cave heard the conversation inside. He silently retracted his leg as he turned around to leave. He had just taken 10 steps. A person walked towards her. Xiao Yi, what's the matter? Have you found Madame Chao? Yan Xiaoyi's expression was a little complicated. When Xiao Jin saw that, he pulled her into his embrace as he asked warmly, why do you look so terrible? Ah, Jin. Yan Xiaoyi buried her head in his chest and said in a clear voice, let's listen to Mu Yu and split into 2 groups. What did she say to you? Xiao Jin gently patted her shoulder. Yan Xiaoyi shook her head and then nodded. What she said should be true. Secluded Palace's people are currently searching for Qing Luo's whereabouts, and if we really went to look for Qing Luo, it would easily expose what Qing Luo wanted to do. But, if we follow Mu Yu, it seems like, we will implicate Mu Yu as well. She lowered her head and wrapped her arms tightly around Xiao Jin's waist. In a concise and comprehensive manner, he recounted the conversation between Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian which he had eavesdropped on earlier. Perhaps it was because Yan Xiaoyi was too familiar with Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. So much so that her approach. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian didn't discover anything. That Madame Chao. Just why would she help us? Xiao Jin listened to Yan Xiaoyi's words and was somewhat puzzled. Yan Xiaoyi shook her head. But I still feel that she is very familiar. Now that things have come to this, we can only do according to what she said. Xiao Jin sighed softly as he gently pulled apart the distance between the both of them. Xiaoyi, I intend to go look for Guiyu teacher first. You. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly raised her head, you want to escort group leader to the lower realm? Right. Xiao Jin took out the witchcraft puppet as he stared deeply at the puppet and said, Guiyu teacher and I will bring some people back first. You bring another group of people and stay by Madame Chao's side, and at the same time find out about Qing Luo's news. Chapter 50-12. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to say something but looking at Xiao Jin's solemn and serious expression, she eventually pursed her lips tightly. Her little hands hugged Xiao Jin's waist tightly, you must be careful. Escorting group leader to the lower realm. They would definitely have to go head-to-head with Gloomy Palace. If Gloomy Palace used any sinister tricks, they would definitely be hurt. Even with Guiyu Fu teacher accompanying them. She was still very worried. You're the one who needs to be careful. Xiao Jin sighed softly as he kept the puppet and hugged the woman's shoulder tightly. Madame Chao's side is not peaceful at all. There's still Dark Void Hall eyeing her covetously. He lowered his head slightly as his voice was very low, using a voice that only the two of them could hear as he spoke with difficulty. If you really meet with life-threatening danger, you must. Ah, Jin. Yan Xiaoyi called out, interrupting Xiao Jin's unfinished words. The woman's delicate face lifted up from his arms as her brows sunk, impossible. The world group's people are definitely not people who are afraid of death. Since we've made a deal with Sunset Rain, then we should abide by our mutual cooperation. This is the world group's first mission in God Realm. No matter what, I will not abandon Sunset Rain and escape on my own. The woman's voice was sonorous and powerful, unwavering. Xiao Jin's unfinished words were stuck in his throat. His extraordinary good-looking face had a complicated expression. After meeting the woman's unwavering gaze for a moment, as though admitting defeat, he heaved a long sigh. He lowered his head as his forehead was facing Yan Xiaoyi's forehead. It's me. No, I shouldn't let the world group carry a bad reputation because of my personal feelings. I know, you're worried about me. Yan Xiaoyi's cherry lips curled upwards as her little hand patted his back lightly. I will take good care of myself. After all, I promised you that I will accompany you back to Huangfu family. The next day, the teams were quickly divided. Xiao Jin brought Long Yunzhan who had already entered the Warm Jade to recuperate, as well as 7 members of the world group, to search for Guiyu Fu teacher before heading towards the lower realm's aristocratic family. On Yan Xiaoyi's side, she brought Bei Ming Lu, Ni Rua Pan, Mo Yuing and Xiao Yinyan to escort Morning Clouds and Sunset Rain couple towards the Devil region. After Yiqing Luo's reminder, Xiao Jin's group of 8 found a lot of old clothes in the slums and changed into them. Smear some messy dirt on your face. Oh, dirt. After all, the world group's brothers were too good-looking. When this group of people walked out, it was really too eye-catching. He had to make himself look a little more pathetic. At the very least, it wouldn't attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. Whereas for Yiqing Luo's side, they continued to maintain their grandeur. As for Jiangzi, it was brought along by Yiqing Luo. After all, this child still had his family, and everyone in the slums. There would be a bloodbath. The main reason was because they wanted to save Long Yunzhan. As Long Yunzhan's brother and half a master, Yiqing Luo had the obligation to protect Jiang Ziyi's safety. After the teams were divided, the two teams parted ways. After leaving the slums, Yiqing Luo didn't leave in time. Instead, he swaggered into the nearby big city. "Aren't you still on the Anshu Hall's kill list? If we enter the city like this, Anshu Hall." Yan Xiaoyi's expression was one of worry. Before he could finish his sentence, he heard the surrounding commoners discussing spiritedly, "Have you heard about the Anshu Hall's matter?" "What matter? It's almost spread throughout the entire God realm and you actually don't know about it?" "Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." "Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 50-13. I heard that the Jiang family's branch force in our city is the headquarters of the Dark Void Hall. Someone couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the Jiang family's power, they directly gave the branch to them as their headquarters. That's not the point. The informant lowered his voice and continued to speak mysteriously. "Let me tell you, I don't know who it was, but someone found out about the Dark Void Hall's headquarters and poisoned it. Now, at least half of the people in the Dark Void Hall's headquarters have been poisoned. Ha ha ha, only the heavens will punish the wicked. They've done all kinds of evil, and now they're finally getting their retribution." "Shoo, don't speak so loudly. If the remaining people of the Dark Void Hall hear it, it'll be a mess again." Everyone immediately sighed. With their strength, it wasn't that they couldn't fight with the Dark Void Hall. It was just that the Dark Void Hall was despicable and shameless, and their bandit-like behavior made them too lazy to bother with villains. And entangled with villains. In the end, they were the unlucky ones. Couldn't they just hide from them? It was better to keep the Dark Void Hall open. However, even if everyone suppressed their excitement, there were also many people who were talking about this matter everywhere. It was probably the Jiang family's branch force, early in the morning, heard heart-wrenching screams. Such screams. When outsiders saw that it was the Jiang family's branch force, they couldn't care too much. This might be some special hobby of these nobles. Then, it was afternoon. He recruited a large number of doctors to go there. Then, the people of the Dark Void Hall rushed to all parts of the city, capturing doctors everywhere. As long as they knew a little bit of medical knowledge, they were captured and brought to the Jiang family's branch. This matter was very big. At that moment, everyone understood what was going on. So this Jiang family's branch was the headquarters of the Dark Void Hall. Early this morning, there were many practitioners of the Dark Void Hall, one by one, who inexplicably fell to the ground during their morning exercises. And their whole body twitched and hurt badly. One by one, they screamed endlessly. After noon, there were even more people who had fallen. Even the two elders, Lu Sanzong and LVNI, didn't escape. Basically, 2/3 of Dark Void Hall's profound practitioners had fallen to the ground. And among the dozens of doctors who were captured and brought to the aristocratic branch of the Jiang clan, after feeling his pulse, none of them could find out what exactly was wrong with him. When the healers saw the people of Anshu Hall lying on the ground in pain, they felt very satisfied. However, in the face of such a difficult and complicated disease, the fact that they couldn't figure out the cause of the illness also piqued their interest. One by one, they began to investigate. A doctor asked when this situation started. With such a deduction, the healers understood. He was poisoned. It was only after breakfast or lunch that everyone began to collapse to the ground in agony. Obviously, there was a problem with the food. Lu Sanzong was convulsing in pain. When he heard the doctor's speculations, he gritted his teeth and ordered them to kill everyone in the kitchen. The Jiang clan's noble branch hall. No, it should be called the Dark Void Hall's headquarters now, was instantly dyed in blood. But after this, a doctor discovered that there was a problem with the well next to the kitchen. They scooped up the water, and a group of doctors surrounded him to examine him. Then, as expected, he discovered the well water contained an unknown drug. But it was the same as those who collapsed to the ground. What was the drug in the well water that couldn't be found at all? Finding out the source could prevent more people from being poisoned. Chapter 50-14. But this poison, what medicinal herb was it made from and how to detoxify it? A group of doctors were still in the midst of research. After that, not knowing how this news spread out from Dark Void Hall's headquarters. After all, this was a piece of news that everyone was happy about. This spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Even the neighboring city had heard of this matter. All of them didn't show it on their faces. But secretly, they were almost clapping their hands in joy, listening to those people's discussions. The expressions on Yan Xiaoyi and the others were all complicated. All the worried words earlier were stuck in their throats. So, she had long known that such a thing had happened at Dark Void Hall. That was why she dared to appear in the city so brazenly. Because the current Dark Void Hall, they couldn't even take care of themselves. How could they care about the morning clouds and evening rain couple on the assassination order? Jiang Ziyi, who had been obediently following beside the team, suddenly jumped towards Yiqing Luo. Until he stopped beside Yiqing Luo, he then raised his little head, his eyes sparkling as he looked at Yiqing Luo. "Sister Yu, is it? Is it?" Although Jiang Ziyi was young, but he also knew that he shouldn't say the latter words. After all, there were people around him. If anyone heard it, it would easily cause trouble. Although Jiang Ziyi's words were not completed, but Yiqing Luo still understood the question he wanted to ask. The young lady's charming eyes slightly curved, slightly bent down, stretched out her hand and caressed Jiang Ziyi's little head, nodding, "N." The little fellow's eyes became brighter and brighter. His little body was so agitated that it kept trembling. Then they. "It's me. It's me." The poison which was poured into the well water was personally poured by him. Those poisoned Dark Void Hall cultivators were personally poisoned by him. Yiqing Luo nodded again, slightly suppressing her voice as she asked with a light smile, "Zi, are you afraid now? Those people, in another 1 or 2 days, will all die one by one." Jiang Ziyi's age wasn't old. His hands were already stained with blood so quickly. If he wasn't willing, Yiqing Luo wouldn't force him. So, the poison she chose was a slow poison. After suffering for 1 or 2 days, they would slowly breathe their last. When the little fellow heard this, the smile on his face and the light in his eyes flickered and wavered. Yiqing Luo didn't have much emotions. Her lips curled up slightly as she fished out a small medicine bottle from her ring. "This is the antidote, if..." "Pa!" The little guy suddenly reached out and took the medicine bottle. Then, he fell heavily to the ground. The transparent liquid stained the ground. After doing this, Jiang Zi gasped for air. Then, she stubbornly raised her little head, her eyes shining with determination. "No! I don't want the antidote." The little fellow's eyes were filled with anger. Those people deserved it. They deserved to die. Now that they are dead, I will avenge my parents and everyone in the slums. I will not be soft-hearted. This is what they deserve. The child gritted his teeth and spat out the words one by one. It was a tiny figure. But between his brows, there was already the demeanor of a grown-up man. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly, as she satisfyingly pressed his head. You did the right thing, they're dead and you've saved even more people. She wanted to bring Jiang Ziyi along by her side. She wanted to teach Jiang Ziyi how to grow. After experiencing the destruction of his family, this was what he needed to learn to be strong. And in this kind of god realm where the strong were revered, most of the Nether Palace's forces had already infiltrated. He must understand. Chapter 50-15. Protect yourself. He understood how to control his fate in his own hands. Jiang Ziyi clenched his fists tightly, his eyes were slightly red as he looked at Yi Qing Luo without blinking and spoke seriously. Sister Yu, thank you. The little boy's crisp voice was filled with sincerity. Yi Qing Luo curled her lips sweetly as she rubbed his little head and straightened her body. She had returned to the side of the man who would not even let a child's jealousy go. Unknowingly, he was soothing a certain big vinegar jar. A conversation between an adult and a child. This allowed Yan Xiaoyi and the others to understand. The incident at the headquarters of the Anshu Hall was indeed related to Lady Sunset Rain. No wonder she had to wait until today to take action. He even had to make a trip to the city. Just to confirm it. Did the people from the Anshu Hall fall for it? This girl called Sunset Rain, he really couldn't be underestimated. Yan Xiaoyi secretly made up her mind. They had to complete this mission seriously and escort the couple safely to the infernal domain. He absolutely could not become enemies with these two people. If Yi Qing Luo knew what Yan Xiaoyi was thinking right now. I guess I'll have to sigh at my amazing acting skills again. Even the World Group's brothers who understood her so well were completely unable to detect her true identity. In that case, Yi Qing Luo was even more relieved. The dark secluded palace definitely wouldn't be able to detect her identity in a short period of time. The group was extremely conspicuous on the street. In addition, Jiang Zi's smashing of the bottle was a little noisy. Soon, it attracted the attention of many people. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian had no intention to conceal it. He generously allowed everyone to look at him. Everyone saw it with a glance. Wasn't this the person on the Anshu Hall's kill order? They actually dared to appear directly in the city. Weren't they afraid that someone from the Anshu Hall would show up and capture them? Even now, the Anshu Hall had poisoned a large number of people. But at least a portion of them, as well as the members of the Anshu Hall scattered throughout the god realm, were still safe and sound. Looking at how calm and composed they were, Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh. Everyone couldn't help but speculate. Such a big thing had happened in the Anshu Hall. Could it be the doing of the two people on the bounty order? Everyone was thinking. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "Not good, the people from Anshu Hall are here. Look at the team in front. The people from Anshu Hall are coming over aggressively. I'm afraid they're here to capture you. Let's get out of the city from here." Amidst the hubbub of discussions, everyone made way for Yi Qing Luo and the rest to leave. But Yi Qing Luo stood at the same spot without any intention to move. She curled her pink lips slightly and nodded at those people who were expressing their goodwill to show her gratitude. Then, he quietly waited where he was. "Muyu, aren't we leaving?" Yan Xiaoyi and the other four had already surrounded Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian in the middle, in a defensive stance. Yi Qing Luo tilted her head and smiled at her. "Don't panic, I'm just afraid that they won't come." What was he planning? Yan Xiaoyi and the rest did not understand. But as a mercenary group that was hired, all they had to do was to protect their employer. Just as he was speaking, in front of him, there were already 20 to 30 people rushing over aggressively. The leader was a fiendish-looking man. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, he drew out a long blade and pointed it at her. "It's you. It's you, right?" The moment the people from Anshu Hall appeared, the surrounding people had already avoided them. That long blade shone with a cold flowing light under the sunlight. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change as she faintly raised her brows, squinting at that person. Chapter 50:16. Aren't you from the Dark Void Hall? Why aren't you at the headquarters waiting for your master? Why are you behaving atrociously in front of me? The young lady's tone was calm, without a hint of panic. The leader's face was sinister as he stared at Yiqing Luo fiercely. Last night only you sneaked into the Dark Void Hall headquarters. The poison in the well was planted by you. Yiqing Luo crossed her arms as she lazily leaned into Dmo Xian's arms. What evidence do you have to prove that it's me? What evidence do you need? It's obviously you. The leader couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Yiqing Luo as he raised his long sword and slashed towards her. Around them, those 20 to 30 Dark Void Hall cultivators had already surrounded their team tightly in the middle. Basically, there was nowhere to escape. The leader made his move. The surrounding God Realm cultivators avoided him. In case they got involved in this troublesome matter. Protect Mu Yu. A black light flashed in Yan Xiaoyi's hand as her slender fingers gripped the black scythe blade tightly as she stood in front of Yiqing Luo. The others swiftly stood in front of Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. The black scythe blade collided with the long sword. The leader took 2 steps back from the impact. The black profound wave vibrated in the air. Cha, that sharp long saber was actually broken into 2 pieces. The leader's hideous face twisted as his eyes widened with hatred. As though he couldn't believe it. This young lady in front of him actually broke his weapon in one strike. Yiqing Luo looked at the broken long sword on the ground as her pink lips rose slightly as she smiled lazily. You're so violent, it's more like guilty. The young lady smiled faintly as her voice was light. If you say it's me, then I'll say. It's you who wanted to get the position of Dark Void Hall's leader, so you deliberately poisoned the Dark Void Hall headquarters in an attempt to take the opportunity to rise up. You're talking nonsense. The leader's expression changed as he screamed in a sharp voice. If this kind of words were to be heard by someone with ulterior motives. No matter if he really had China in mind. He probably wouldn't be given an important position in the headquarters. Furthermore, if the leader also doubted his loyalty, he would probably kill it to prevent future troubles. This girl was too ruthless. Facing the leader of the group, he had a furious expression and a murderous gaze. Yiqing Luo didn't have the slightest fluctuation of emotions. She raised her pink lips and smiled calmly. It's just a few words. Who doesn't know how to say the truth? You. The leader was so angry that his entire body was trembling. His eyes glanced at the dozens of profound practitioners beside him. Go. Bring her back to the headquarters of the Anshu Hall and torture her until she hands over the antidote. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. The young husband and wife stood there calmly and elegantly, leaning against each other. The 5 youths in front of him panted lightly, and their expressions were stern as they glared at the people in front of them. The only one left standing was the leader. Around them, lying on the ground, were profound practitioners dressed in the uniform of the Anshu Hall. Someone fainted. Someone was howling in pain. The leader was panting heavily as he stared incredulously at the group of young boys and girls in front of him as he retreated step by step. The 20 to 30 people he brought were helpless against this group of young people. Chapter 50:17. Those people he brought along were all lying on the ground. Now, he was the only one left. That was even more of a fate to fall. The leader almost gave up on resisting. The black-haired girl casually and elegantly walked out from behind the armed young men and women who were extremely powerful. That delicate and picturesque face, although not as breathtaking as that of a fairy. However, it had a unique charm. She looked down at him from above, her pink lips curled into a light smile. Actually, it's not impossible for me to go to the Dark Void Hall headquarters to save your master. The young lady's voice was as clear as an orchid. The leader wondered if he had heard wrongly. She wasn't going to kill him? And she even agreed to go to the Dark Void Hall headquarters to save him? Yi Qing Luo smiled as she raised her slender brows. I am a kind-hearted doctor. Whenever I meet such a difficult-to-treat illness, I love to research it. Your master's poison, I can give it a try. Sister Yu. Jiang Ziyi didn't understand the meaning of Yi Qing Luo's words as he called out to her softly. His eyes were filled with worry and unwillingness. Hadn't he already smashed the antidote given by Sister Yu? Why did Sister Yu want to save the people from the Dark Void Hall? Those people were all bad people. When Yi Qing Luo looked at Jiang Ziyi, the smile on her brows became even more genuine and warm. She didn't say anything, only arched her eyes at Jiang Ziyi and retracted her gaze. This smile made Jiang Ziyi swallow back all the words he wanted to say. He pursed his little lips, his little hands clenched tightly into fists. He wanted to believe in Sister Yu. Sister Yu must have a reason for doing this. You, what motive do you have? The leader didn't think that this young lady would be so kind, purely wanting to research on the so-called poison. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled, still smiling with a delicate and innocent look. The motive is that I want to detoxify your master alone. The leader's expression changed. Impossible. Oh. Yi Qing Luo didn't have any intention to force him as she casually waved her hand. Forget about that one, anyway the one who dies, won't be me. Then, she took the man's arm and turned around. Let's go. Not even 4 hours had passed. Yi Qing Luo and the rest were respectfully invited into the Dark Void Hall headquarters. At this time, in the Anshu Hall headquarters, the ground was littered with Anshu Hall's profound practitioners, howling in pain. The urine stained the ground red. Yi Qing Luo walked straight ahead expressionlessly, as though she didn't care much about the tragic state of the Dark Void Hall. It was Yan Xiaoyi and the rest who couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva when they saw the surrounding scenery. Was this all the work of their employer? This was just too cruel. Why would such a cruel employer need their protection? Jiang Zi, on the other hand, carefully followed Baiming Lulu's side. His small hand tightly grasped the hem of Baiming Lulu's clothes. He looked at the ground full of people wailing in pain and then at the water. The little people were afraid, but also felt that they deserved it. That was all. The group entered Lu Sanzong's room. When the room door was pushed open with a creak, Lu Sanzong's weak roar was heard from inside the room. Get out. A bunch of quacks, useless trash, kill them. Kill them all. First Master is still so energetic, looks like he doesn't need my help. Chapter 50-18. In the messy room, a clear and melodious voice was heard. It easily suppressed Lu Sanzong's roar. When he heard that familiar voice, he was stunned. Lu Sanzong, who was lying on the sickbed, suddenly stiffened as he struggled to climb up and turned his head over. The young lady who was still arrogant last night, swaggering in front of him and finally left safely. At this moment, she was smiling as she walked towards him. Her peach-red long dress fluttered in the wind, which made the young lady look even more charming. She looked pure and innocent. You? How could it be you? What are you doing here again? Lu Sanzong's eyes widened as he stared deadly at Yi Qing Luo. His voice was hoarse from exhaustion. Yi Qing Luo walked in. A bunch of people followed behind her. Lu Sanzong saw the disheveled leader and seemed to have understood. It's you. Yan Jun, you bastard. You betrayed me. That person called Yan Jun was the leader who intercepted Yi Qing Luo earlier. When he heard Lu Sanzong's accusation, he immediately put on a bitter face. Eldest master, you've wronged me. I'm trying to save you. She. Lu Sanzong clenched his fists tightly as he looked at Yan Jun, who was blindly following her, not daring to get too close to Yiqing Luo and the rest. He suddenly raised his voice and shouted, "Men, men! I advise eldest master, don't be too agitated. The more agitated you are, the faster the poison will spread in. You'll die even faster." The young lady's voice was soft and her tone was also gentle. However, the words that came out of his mouth caused everyone to tremble in fear. "It's indeed you, slut. You're the one who poisoned me." When Lu Sanzong heard that, the anger on his face grew even more as his hand gripped the blanket tightly, almost pinching the silk blanket into shreds. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes innocently. "No, I didn't, I'm not, don't talk rubbish. You have no evidence." 3 consecutive denials plus a righteous rebuttal. "If it's not you, who else can it be?" Lu Sanzong didn't believe it. Yiqing Luo spread out her hands. "Then you'll have to ask the person who poisoned me." Lu Sanzong. This young lady probably felt that he didn't die early enough. He took a deep breath and was about to scold Yan Jun to chase him out. The young girl walked past the mess on the ground and gracefully arrived in front of him. Flowers bloomed with every step she took. "Although, I wasn't the one who poisoned him." She smiled and said, "But, I can help you detoxify it." His last sentence made Lu Sanzong swallow the words he was about to spit out. He gritted his teeth for a long time. In the end, he said, "Why should I believe you?" "Just because," Yiqing Luo smiled confidently, "you have no choice." Lu Sanzong, indeed, he had no choice. Doctors from various places had been captured through various means. There was no lack of famous doctors and pharmacists among them. However, no one was able to find out what was wrong with them, let alone cure them of the poison. In Lu Sanzong's heart, he was certain that the person who poisoned him was this girl named Mu Yu. In other words, indeed, only this girl had the antidote. Although Lu Sanzong's brain wasn't flexible, but he wasn't a fool. "What motive do you have?" Yiqing Luo's lips curled. "I have a small problem and would like to consult First Master." Lu Sanzong frowned, his malevolent pale face was horribly distorted. "I don't know anything." "You will know." Yiqing Luo smiled confidently. "From the color of your lips, you probably won't last past today." Chapter 50-19. "Young lady, this kind of low-end psychological attack, can you scare me?" Lu Sanzong sneered. Yiqing Luo tilted her head, her delicate brows were like a painting as she gave a casual smile. "Oh, then eldest master can choose not to believe me, in this case. I'll make a move first." That look, that tone, there was totally no intention to continue threatening or enticing him. The more it was like this, Lu Sanzong panicked even more. He clenched his fists tightly, suppressing the intense pain in his body as he squeezed out a sentence from the slits of his teeth. "What do you want to know?" Yiqing Luo smiled slightly. Yiqing Luo asked Yan Xiaoyi and the rest to guard the door, to prevent the others from Dark Void Hall from approaching. After that, she pulled Dmo Xian and sat beside Lu Sanzong's sickbed. She looked at Lu Sanzong with a smile. "When did you guys get involved with the Jiang family's aristocrats?" Lu Sanzong's eyes congealed slightly, and very quickly his entire face twisted into a ball in pain. "Help me detoxify first, then I'll answer your question." Yiqing Luo spread out her hands. "If I help you detoxify, but you don't answer my question, who am I going to reason with?" "Then what if I answer your question, but you have no way to detoxify me?" Lu Sanzong's mind rarely turned so fast as he retorted. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. "This is not a problem I need to consider." Now the sovereignty was in her hands. She had the final say. She laughed lightly. "If you don't trust me, then we, both take a step back." Lu Sanzong hurriedly interrupted Yiqing Luo's words. "You have to at least do something to make me believe that you can help me detoxify?" After all that, Lu Sanzong only wanted to find out the news of the antidote from Yiqing Luo's hands. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes twitched slightly. Her sleeve suddenly moved. Her fair as jade finger flicked under Lu Sanzong's eyelids. Lu Sanzong had not seen clearly what it was. His mouth felt cold. Immediately, that cold and gloomy feeling spread throughout his body. Lu Sanzong opened his mouth and used his hand to dig. "You, what did you feed me? Didn't you say that I should at least make you believe me?" The young girl innocently blinked her pure and charming eyes and continued with a smile, "Don't worry, whatever I feed you is naturally good stuff." Lu Sanzong still wanted to say something. However, the cold feeling in his body almost froze his internal organs. It also solidified the agitated pain in his body. After a long while. Only then did Lu Sanzong reluctantly get used to the eerie cold air that lingered wantonly in his body. He panted heavily as he stared at Yiqing Luo viciously. "What is this?" He glared at them. But it was only for a moment. Just as he was about to be stabbed in the face by a sharp, ice-like blade. Lu Sanzong's vision shot towards Yiqing Luo's side. That tender-looking young man who looked easy to bully. His entire body shuddered. It was this young man. Last night, he only relied on his own strength. He easily and effortlessly tortured the two powerful elders from the Jiang clan to the ground, leaving them powerless to resist. This young man, it was too terrifying. Compared to the Jiang clan side, it was even more terrifying. Lu Sanzong was so frightened that he retracted his head. This young man was warning him. Not allowed to humiliate a young lady? Now, does it not hurt anymore? Yiqing Luo smiled as she asked Lu Sanzong. Her body fell into the man's arms, enjoying his escort very much. Lu Sanzong didn't say a word. Chapter 50-20. Now, he really didn't feel any pain. However, this sinister chill in his body felt as if he was possessed by a ghost. It didn't feel good either. Don't ask for too much. Yiqing Luo ignored Lu Sanzong's infuriated face as she gave a casual smile. After all, I want you to answer my question. Asking that cousin of yours, it's not impossible. She tilted her head and smiled innocently. I'm sure your cousin knows how to choose better than you. Are you threatening me? Lu Sanzong bared his teeth in anger. Yiqing Luo nodded smilingly. That's right, so, what does First Master think about it? Lu Sanzong bit his lips tightly as he stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. His heart was in turmoil. She had taken so many doctors' prescriptions and all sorts of medicine. He didn't react at all. His body was still twitching, and the pain was indescribable. But, the girl in front of him made a move. Although the coldness in his body was uncomfortable. However, the pain and spasms had indeed stopped. It was enough to show that this young girl might really be able to cure this strange poison. Eldest Master, my patience is limited. Yiqing Luo smiled as she spoke. Lu Sanzong no longer hesitated. He gripped the blanket under him tightly and said through gritted teeth, Anshu Hall. It wasn't called Anshu Hall before. Most of the former members of the Anshu Hall were fierce and bloodthirsty tyrants of various places. Killing, plundering, committing all sorts of crimes. Many of them were vicious villains on the Divine Emperor Palace's wanted list. And just 3 months ago, the nobles of the Jiang family came to him. In the name of the nobility of the Jiang family, he gathered all these villains. After that, it became the Anshu Hall of today. He listened to Lu Sanzong talk about the establishment of the Anshu Hall. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly. 3 months ago, at that time, the people from the Palace of Darkness had already started preparing? Aren't you villains? Are you willing to listen to the arrangements of a Jiang family's aristocrat? Yiqing Luo raised her doubts. If it really was that kind of evil existence, It was said that two tigers could not live on the same mountain, so how could they be willing to stay together? And, to establish a hall in such an orderly manner? Lu Sanzong looked troubled and lowered his head. The reason? I really can't tell you. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Is it related to the Jiang family's aristocrats? Lu Sanzong did not answer, but his expression said it all. Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly. With the answer, she didn't continue asking, continue. Lu Sanzong pursed his lips and deliberated over his words in his mind before continuing. Although it was 3 months ago, the nobles of the Jiang family had been preparing for it. But when the Anshu Hall truly appeared out of nowhere, just a few days ago, the task given to them by the nobles of the Jiang family was simple. It was to disrupt the order of the God realm. They were using their evil deeds to pollute the entire God realm. Initially, they were a little worried. Even if he was a villain, he still cherished his life. However, in the current God realm, all of the great profound practitioners had become selfish. Once they went too far. In order to protect themselves, those profounders would definitely not interfere. As a result, the people from Anshu Hall were the first to test the waters. In the end, he ran amok without any regard for the law. Yiqing Luo raised her brows again. It seemed that the nobles of the Jiang family had seen through the human nature of the God realm. To disrupt the God realm. To disrupt the atmosphere of the God realm. To disrupt the order of the Feng family, the other royal families or the aristocrats, when the entire God realm was in complete chaos. That was also the time for the Palace of Darkness to appear. It was a good plan. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-21. First Master. The young lady opened her mouth smilingly, interrupting what Lu Sanzong was about to say. Her long and narrow eyes curled upwards, and there was an inexplicable sense of charm in her loveliness. As for me, regarding how your dark void hall was established and how it developed, I actually don't have much interest. Yiqing Luo said faintly, I suggest you to say something that I am more interested in, that would be better. She knew how long dark void hall had been established, and that was enough. As for other messy things, no matter how much he said, it would be useless. Lu Sanzong's torrent of words reached his throat, but he swallowed it back. Then what do you want to hear? Say something interesting. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly. For example, the master behind you, is it the Jiang family's aristocrat, or the person behind the Jiang family's aristocrat? Or the reason why your master allowed you to be unscrupulous and domineering in the God realm? For example, the person I saved last night, who is he? Why is he imprisoned in your dark void hall headquarters? What is he trying to do? And for example, Grand Aunt, please spare me. Spare me. Lu Sanzong hurriedly interrupted Yiqing Luo's words. These questions of yours, how am I supposed to answer? Yiqing Luo threw out questions one by one, making Lu Sanzong so anxious that he wanted to cry but had no tears. How you should answer, just answer. Yiqing Luo faintly raised her brows, her pink lips curled frivolously, her eyes flowed with a casual smile. Don't try to lie to me, I can help you detoxify, and give you some other poisons. Lu Sanzong. Just one poison was almost taking his life. And some other poisons? Wasn't this asking for his life? Don't worry, by then, death to you will only be a release. Yiqing Luo raised a slender finger and shook it at him. I won't let you die so easily. Lu Sanzong recalled the earlier, that kind of poison, tormenting him until his entire body twitched, as if a hammer was hammering his internal organs. Momentarily, he couldn't say a word. This young lady was simply too savage. ever since he became the leader of the Anshu Hall. This group of vicious villains that came from all over the god world couldn't even compare to this young girl's savagery. Lu Sanzong was in a dilemma. He didn't notice that a mischievous smile had appeared on the young girl's face. Coming to Lu Sanzong was indeed the right choice. It could be seen from his conversation with LVNI last night. Lu Sanzong was not very smart. Compared to the cunning LVNI. She could get the answer she wanted faster if she started with Lu Sanzong. Like now. Lu Sanzong's reaction had completely proved, he knew all the questions she had asked. As for Lu Sanzong, Yiqing Luo had complete confidence that he would answer her questions honestly. So Yiqing Luo had no intention to rush him. She glared at him maliciously for a long time. Following that, he put on a posture of pulling Dmo Xian away. As expected, Lu Sanzong compromised. We are from the Jiang family's aristocrats. We are all gathered together by the Jiang family's aristocrats. We are all following the arrangements of the Jiang family's aristocrats. Lu Sanzong stammered, as for the reason. I really don't know. We only received the mission, what to do. Chapter 50-22. The master behind the Jiang family, that. I have heard of that, but I have never seen him before. You guessed correctly. The reason why we are willing to stay, is mostly because of the promise given to us by the master behind the Jiang family, and some other reasons. As Lu Sanzong spoke till here, he brushed past this part of the reason. Then he continued, as for the person you saved last night, seems to be called Long Yunzhan. He is someone whom the two elders of the Jiang family asked us to go to the slums to capture. I heard that person seems to be on the side of the master behind the Jiang family, but he betrayed that side. And even stole the master's very important thing, so he was chased by the Jiang family. After the Dark Void Hall inquired about Long Yunzhan's news, they went over to capture him and locked him up in the headquarters. The two elders of the Jiang family said, when they return to the Jiang family, they will bring him back. Then what happened last night happened. Yiqing Luo's question. Lu Sanzong's answer was very comprehensive this time. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers touched her chin, that Long Yunzhan. What did he steal? This. I don't know. Lu Sanzong hurriedly shook his head. The people from the Dark Void Hall had already stripped him naked, but they didn't find the thing that the elders wanted on him, and the elders didn't say what it was. Yiqing Luo's brows sunk slightly. Stripped. Naked? If Ah Zhan was awake. How could the arrogant him bear such an insult? Her human dragon was actually trampled by the Dark Void Hall. She had been too gentle with her poison. Lu Sanzong was frightened by the gloomy aura emitting from this young and innocent-looking young lady, so much so that the cold air in his body became even more chaotic. He hurriedly sprawled on the bed. What I said is all true. I really don't know. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly, as her slender fingers curled up one by one. Just as she was about to explode. A broad palm stretched over and wrapped around Yiqing Luo's little hand. Slender jade-like fingers opened Yiqing Luo's tightly clenched fingers, soothing her emotions. Yiqing Luo's eyes met with the man's sapphire, gentle eyes. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly calmed down. She lowered her eyes and stared at their interlocked hands. The coldness in his eyes gradually dissipated. She curved her lips and looked at him with her charming eyes. Her current goal. She wanted to get the information she wanted from Lu Sanzong. If her emotions could not remain calm because of Lu Sanzong's words, they would also lose the best opportunity to question him. Yiqing Luo calmed herself down and raised her eyes indifferently as she looked at Lu Sanzong. I heard that you are still tracking a woman's whereabouts. That person is Miss Feng of the Feng clan? When Yiqing Luo spat out the words, Miss Feng, Lu Sanzong suddenly sat up straight and looked around nervously. This news, how did you know? Of course I have my ways. Yiqing Luo's dainty and picturesque brows sunk slightly with a tinge of coldness. What's your motive for pursuing Miss Feng? We didn't. Lu Sanzong subconsciously wanted to refute. However, when he saw the coldness in the depths of the young girl's eyes, his retort was stuck in his throat. Chapter 50-23. First Master, I know. The real reason why your dark void hall is so domineering. Yiqing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense. On the surface, you are under the orders of the Jiang family's aristocrats to disrupt the God Realm's order, but in actual fact. The cold arc on her pink lips deepened. Dark void hall is so ostentatious, just to make it easier to track down that Miss Feng? I'm very curious, what's the reason for Dark Void Hall to track down Miss Feng's whereabouts? Your Dark Void Hall. Or should I say, the master behind the Jiang family's aristocrats. What's your motive? The young lady's deep voice became increasingly husky. There was also a strange charm to it. After Yiqing Luo finished saying these words, Lu Sanzong's face instantly turned pale. His face sunk, as he slowly leaned his back against the headboard. He had no intention to speak again. Yiqing Luo gave a light laugh, as her delicate brows revealed traces of ridicule and playfulness. The current Lu Sanzong. Apparently he was terrified. As though saying it out would cost him his life. But to deal with someone like Lu Sanzong, Yiqing Luo felt no pressure. Her slender fingers flicked. A white jade porcelain bottle appeared in her hand. The porcelain bottle contrasted well with her jade-like skin. It made that porcelain bottle even more crystal clear. When the white jade porcelain bottle was taken out, a flash of white light flashed past Lu Sanzong's eyes. Lu Sanzong's body stiffened, staring straight at the white jade porcelain bottle in Yiqing Luo's hand. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she shook it. Lu Sanzong's vision also shook. His breathing was slightly hurried. As though he knew what was in this white jade porcelain bottle. This is my last question. After Yiqing Luo shook the bottle, she kept it in her palm, blocking Lu Sanzong's vision. And you, after you answer this question, the antidote is yours. This is really the antidote? Lu Sanzong's eyes widened, looking greedily at Yiqing Luo's hand. Of course. Yiqing Luo nodded with a smile, but don't try to snatch it from me. After all, you should be clear, my husband's ability. Lu Sanzong's greedy gaze congealed slightly. Then, slowly returned to Yiqing Luo's face. He clenched his fists tightly. All right, I do know the reason why the Jiang nobles want to pursue that Miss Feng. But, I only overheard it. Whether it's true or not, I'm not too sure. I heard that the young miss of the Feng family has something that the master wants. As for that master, he needs Miss Feng to remove his seal. Swish, bang. A few gusts of cold wind blew over. Murderous aura burst forth. Dmo Xian's sharp senses detected it, and he held on to the young lady's slender waist, pulling her into his embrace as his figure flashed. Ah! A blood-curdling scream was heard. Lu Sanzong's body fell from the ice bed to the ground. A long arrow pierced through his neck. Someone was stopping Lu Sanzong. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances and speedily looked towards the direction of the long arrow. He saw fourth elder Jiang standing not far away with a cold face. Seeing that Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had discovered him, he had no intention of avoiding her. Instead, he sneered and threw the longbow in his hand to the ground. Dmo Xian held onto Yiqing Luo's waist and flew over. Fourth elder Jiang's eyes stared fixedly at Yiqing Luo. Who exactly are you? Why are you inquiring about the Dark Void Hall's matters? As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Yiqing Luo smiled carelessly. The Dark Void Hall can chase after me, why can't I inquire about the Dark Void Hall's matters? Chapter 50-24. But the things you've inquired about, seems to have nothing to do with the Dark Void Hall? Fourth Elder Jiang's face was sinister. Yiqing Luo calmly curved her charming eyes. No choice who asked the person behind the Dark Void Hall to be your Jiang family's aristocrats? If I destroy the Dark Void Hall, and your Jiang family comes to bully me, what should I do? Of course I have to plan for the consequences of me destroying the Dark Void Hall. Yiqing Luo's explanation sounded reasonable. Fourth Elder Jiang clenched his fist. That greenish-gray face was extremely ugly. Young lady, do you really think our Jiang family's aristocrats are all fools? His eyes were sinister, like that person. He took a look at Dmo Xian and continued, his strength has far surpassed most of the aristocrats in the God realm, even the experts of the royal family. If there really is such a powerful person in the God realm, how is it possible that he only revealed his strength at the golden hour? Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change at all, holding her man's hand, her fingertips fiddled with his fingers and smiled sweetly. My husband is happy, does it bother you? The young lady's actions and tone. Both were obviously disapproving and ridiculing. Fourth Elder Jiang was fuming. But he also had misgivings about the existence of the man named Chao Yun. He stared at Yiqing Luo, as if he wanted to stare out her soul. Happy? He spoke out the results of his investigation word by word. Chao Yun, the son of the Chao family. Mu Yu, an orphan who escaped from the village, adopted by the Chao family without parents. When they heard Fourth Elder Jiang say their names, they were stunned. Yiqing Luo's calm face suddenly congealed, her long and narrow eyes revealed a bit of fierceness as she looked at Fourth Elder. You investigated us? Fourth Elder Jiang snorted coldly and continued, the son of the Chao family, fell in love with an orphan. This marriage, the Chao family's patriarch didn't seem to agree with it, and it caused a huge commotion. Now, because of the two of you, the Chao family's patriarch is seriously injured in bed. What a pity. What a pity, the two of you are out touring, enjoying yourself. Fourth Elder Jiang sized up the two of them. His eyes were filled with probing and hatred. He gently twitched the corner of his mouth. His words were cold as he spoke of his ultimate goal. You. I'm afraid you're not the son and daughter-in-law of the Chao family, right? As Fourth Elder Jiang finished his words, the pretty girl's expression grew colder and colder. Especially when he heard the words, the master of the Chao clan was seriously injured in bed. Her fair fingers were clenched into fists. It was as if he was going to throw a punch in the next instant. That pair of long and narrow eyes surged with raging flames of anger. If I'm not, then don't tell me you are. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched slightly as her eyes were filled with a chilly intent. She stared straight at Fourth Elder Jiang's face and smiled maliciously. Fourth Elder Jiang, rather than meddling in our family's affairs, why don't you take care of your own health? You are forcefully suppressing the poison. How much longer can you last? I forgot to tell you, this kind of poison. The more profound energy is used, the faster it spreads. I see that the corners of your eyes have already turned gray. I'm afraid that you won't be able to live for long. The young lady's voice was soft. But the words that she spat out were extremely chilly and maliciously. Her pink lips curled up slightly, forming a mischievous cold arc. Fourth Elder Jiang laughed out loud. He raised his hand and flipped his palm. A white jade porcelain bottle appeared in his palm. Chapter 50-25. That was the antidote which Yiqing Luo had given to Lu Sanzong earlier. When did Fourth Elder Jiang take it away? Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past Lu Sanzong's corpse. Indeed, the white jade porcelain bottle had disappeared from the bedside. "Young lady, you're still too tender." After he finished his words, he opened the white jade porcelain bottle abruptly and drank the liquid inside in one gulp. Until he had finished the contents of the bottle. He then smashed the porcelain bottle heavily onto the ground. His eyes were scarlet with malice. "Young lady, I am not that kind of idiot like Lu Sanzong, trying to use the antidote to lure me into the trap." Ha ha ha. Yi Qing Luo had no intention to stop him from the start. It was until Fourth Elder Jiang smashed the porcelain bottle that she casually raised her slender brows as her charming eyes curved. "Oh? Why do I feel that? Fourth Elder Jiang is even dumber than First Master?" She chuckled softly, her brows were filled with bright dimples. Fourth Elder Jiang's smile froze as his face sunk bit by bit. Yi Qing Luo continued to smile. "Fourth Elder Jiang, the one who is really tender is you." "What do you mean?" Fourth Elder Jiang's face turned steely green and extremely ugly. The young lady raised her hand, her fair fingers gently covered her pink lips as she gave a mocking laugh. "Fourth Elder Jiang really thought that is. The antidote? Not the antidote?" Fourth Elder Jiang's gloomy and malicious eyes stared at Yi Qing Luo and then swept a glance at Lu Sanzong's corpse. He clenched his fists. "No, impossible. You're saying this on purpose, right? His goal is to disrupt this elder's judgment. If you think this way, it will make you feel better, then go ahead." Yi Qing Luo spread out her hands with an indifferent look. "Your body is your own, your body's reaction can't lie to anyone." Fourth Elder Jiang's face was steely green as he looked down at his own body in disbelief. He clenched his fists tightly. But there was no energy in his body at all. Even the poison which was suppressed earlier. It broke through the suppression at this moment. Convulsions and heart-wrenching pain instantly invaded Fourth Elder Jiang's body and mind. It also made Fourth Elder Jiang bend his high and mighty knees and kneel on the ground. Fourth Elder Jiang's body convulsed violently. His ghastly face was now completely black. Yi Qing Luo brought Dmo Xian along as she walked out of Lu Sanzong's room, walking straight towards Fourth Elder Jiang. Fourth Elder Jiang fell to the ground, struggling and twisting. Yi Qing Luo gave out a low laugh as she looked down at Fourth Elder Jiang from a high vantage point. Her eyes were filled with a chilly intent with some sarcasm. "Now, Fourth Elder Jiang should believe my words, right? You. Fourth Elder Jiang couldn't believe that he had fallen into the hands of a little girl. If word of this got out, it would be a joke. Fourth Elder Jiang was furious and annoyed. This breath. That convulsion in his body, as if his internal organs were being stirred up into a ball, was even more heart-wrenching. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled as she scoffed. "Our family matters, it's not up to an outsider like you to point your fingers. Whether my father-in-law is willing to acknowledge me as his daughter-in-law, it's my business, it has nothing to do with you. Whether we're going on a sightseeing tour, disregarding my father-in-law's injuries, I don't need to explain it to you. If I hear another sentence of you insulting the Chao family's aristocrats, insulting my father-in-law or my husband, I don't mind making you unable to make a sound forever." Chapter 50-26. The young lady's arrogance had almost stepped on Fourth Elder Jiang's head. When had Fourth Elder Jiang ever been humiliated like this? He bared his teeth and glared at Yi Qing Luo. It was as if they were hugging each other. "Kill her." Yi Qing Luo suddenly gave a light laugh, using a gaze which seemed as though she was sizing up rubbish, as she sized up Fourth Elder Jiang from head to toe, as she chuckled. "Oh, wrong. I've forgotten, Fourth Elder Jiang's poison has acted up, I'm afraid it's true, so he can't open his mouth anymore." Saying that, she held Dmo Xian's arm and smiled. "Ah Yun, let's go." When they passed by Fourth Elder Jiang, he stretched out his hand and tried to grab Yi Qing Luo's leg. But it was kicked away by Dmo Xian. His cold bone-piercing gaze was like a sharp knife stabbing down. Fourth Elder Jiang's breathing stagnated, he was in so much pain that his whole body was twitching. Save me, however, no one cared about him. Passing by Fourth Elder Jiang, they walked straight to the courtyard entrance. The two of them stopped in their tracks. Yiqing Luo raised her head, as her slender fingers, lightly tapped in the air. A transparent barrier wave was faintly discernible in the air. It was an enchantment. No wonder, she felt strange. Why was it that when Fourth Elder Jiang shot Lu Sanzong, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest who were guarding outside the door, as well as that Yan Jun from the Dark Void Hall, had no reaction at all? They were all blocked outside the enchantment. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Dmo Xian. There was no need for words. The man had already read the young lady's mind. He put down the hand that was breaking the enchantment and took 2 steps back. Yiqing Luo shot a radiant smile at Dmo Xian. Between her curved eyes, her face was filled with youth. Then, she faced the enchantment. She pinched her fair fingers and moved her palm. A large machete with a piercingly cold glint appeared in her hand. She swayed the knife. Her fingertips stroked the blade lightly. The dazzling red glow suddenly covered the entire blade. Immediately, Yiqing Luo leaped. She raised her hand and slashed downwards. The dazzling red profound light collided with the transparent barrier in the air and let out a hissing sound. 2 waves intersected. Majestic Xian Qi surged wildly in all directions. Yiqing Luo's peach blossom robe was fluttering under the strong profound qi. Yiqing Luo felt a resistance at the end of the machete, preventing her from breaking the enchantment. She slightly increased her strength and pushed the blade even further towards the point where the barrier and the profound light intersected. The profound qi fluctuations created by both sides surged more and more intensely. The stalemate continued for several breaths. Yiqing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards as she gently lifted the corners of her eyes. Her pink lips curled upwards as her peerlessly alluring eyes revealed a wisp of fierceness. She shouted in a tender voice. The machete in his hand chopped down. Boom! An earth-shattering shockwave caused the ground to tremble. A deafening explosion followed. Meanwhile, Yiqing Luo's waist tightened as the man locked her slender waist and leapt away from the spreading profound wave. Sunset Rain. Master Chao. Young Master Chao. Sunset Rain. Several calls were clearly transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. The enchantment had been successfully broken. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with joy as she popped her little head out from Dmo Xian's arms and looked forward. She was grinning from ear to ear in Dmo Xian's arms. I broke this enchantment. She originally just wanted to try. She had not expected that she really succeeded. Great. Dmo Xian's eyes were gentle as he was not stingy with his praise. The surrounding courtyard had been razed to the ground as smoke curled up. Chapter 50-27. Yan Xiaoyi and the others were already as anxious as ants on a hot pan. At this moment, they finally sensed the profound aura in front. Instantly they dashed towards Yiqing Luo in wild joy. Muyu, are you alright? How are you guys? Are you hurt? The few young men and ladies' eyes were filled with worry. I'm fine. Yiqing Luo squirmed out from Dmo Xian's arms as she sized them up. On seeing that they weren't hurt, she silently heaved a sigh of relief. It's good that you're all right. Yan Xiaoyi and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. This was their employer. If the World Group's first mission in God Realm had failed just like that, not only would they smash the World Mercenary Group's signboard, they would also feel apologetic. After all, this young couple in front of them had always been thinking for the World Group. Even that piece of jade pendant which could nourish living things, they had lent it to them without any suspicions. No matter what. They must protect this young couple's safety. What happened earlier made them a little dazed. But it also made them a little more vigilant. Earlier they were guarding Lu Sanzong's entrance well. Following that, they were lured out of the courtyard by an extremely powerful profound wave. Originally they thought that they were just checking out the courtyard and not too far away, so nothing would happen. The minute they reached the courtyard, they couldn't even enter Lu Sanzong's courtyard. They then realized. Earlier that powerful profound wave was obviously to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Luckily, they were fine. Yan Xiaoyi noticed fourth elder Jiang, who was lying on the ground struggling for his life, as well as Lu Sanzong, who had stopped breathing through the opened window. Her expression was a little complicated. What happened? It's just a show of killing each other. Yiqing Luo smiled indifferently. Anyway, they're all poisoned, so there's no need to bother about them. She squinted at fourth elder Jiang as she purposely twitched her lips nastily. They're going to die no matter what. Dark Void Hall this time should be really doomed. Let's go. Saying that, she pulled Dmo Xian as they walked out of the ruins. Jiang Zi jogged over to Yiqing Luo's feet as he raised his little head and looked at her. Sister Yu, why didn't you kill him? He's not a good person either. Yiqing Luo bent over and rubbed his head, only giving a smile and not replying. She did not answer. Jiang Zi, who grew up in the slums, knew how to read people's expressions, so he didn't continue to ask. However, his complexion did not look too good. Baiming Lulu held his hand and walked at the back. She raised her beautiful eyes and stared at the back of the girl who was dressed in a peach blossom dress. Her voice was gentle and comforting. Miss Mu Yu naturally has her own reasons. She squeezed Jiang Zi's little hand and said, "You are still young. Although you need to know how to control your own fate, you definitely don't need to be filled with killing intent." Jiang Zi nodded his little head, not fully understanding the situation. A group of people walked into the headquarters of the Anshu Hall. No one dared to stop him. As soon as he walked out of the dark void hall's door, suddenly, there was a whoosh sound. A cold light flashed past everyone's eyes. A long spear was placed horizontally on the path of the entrance, blocking Yiqing Luo and the rest's path. You've created a foul atmosphere in the Anshu Hall and you want to leave. A gloomy voice was heard from within the Anshu Hall. Following that was an overbearing and ruthless voice. Second elder, it's this group of people playing such a despicable trick like poisoning in the Anshu Hall and even saved that fellow Long Yunzhan. Chapter 50-28. That violent voice, wasn't it third elder Jiang's voice? This third elder Jiang, did he look for a helper? Found a second elder? Third elder Jiang and fourth elder Jiang's intelligence quotient Yiqing Luo had thought that the ranking of the elders didn't seem to be arranged according to any rules. But, listening to third elder Jiang and this second elder's posture of complaining, it seemed that this second elder was much more awesome than him and fourth elder Jiang. Moreover, that deep and hoarse voice earlier. It should be the second elder without a doubt. It seemed that this second elder's strength was quite strong. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly and looked towards the direction of the voice. A black shadow came at a fast speed. Yiqing Luo and the others dodged sideways. That black figure stood straight at the place where the long spear was inserted into the ground. Yiqing Luo turned her head to look. She saw a white-haired and white-browed old man dressed in a black suit. This old man was different from the third and fourth elder Jiang whom Yiqing Luo had seen. Third and fourth elder Jiang liked to wear a fluttering white robe. It seemed that this color, coupled with the robe, could more symbolize their status as elders. And this old man, dressed in a black suit, had an imposing appearance, exuding an oppressive aura from head to toe. He stood beside the long spear, then stretched out his hand, grabbed that long spear and pulled it out forcefully. The stirred-up profound waves, stirred up the gravel and dust on the ground, constantly dancing wildly. This was the Jiang family's aristocratic second elder Jiang? Yi Qing Luo slightly raised her slender brows, her pink lips curled up indifferently. Second elder, this is trying to stop us from leaving the Dark Void Hall headquarters? Second elder Jiang's expression was cold as he stared at Yi Qing Luo. Miss, being so arrogant in the Dark Void Hall headquarters, do you think there's no one in the Dark Void Hall? Yi Qing Luo snorted lightly, her brows arched upwards, without any fear. Why? Your Dark Void Hall is allowed to run amok, but I'm not allowed to retaliate? Your Dark Void Hall inexplicably issued a kill order, causing me to not even be able to enter the city. Your Anshu Hall investigated me and my husband's identity, and even cursed my father-in-law, trying to sow discord between me and the Chao clan. As the daughter-in-law of the Chao clan, how could I tolerate this? As for that fellow called Long Yunzhan, Yi Qing Luo paused for a moment and raised her slender brows as she smiled. Your Dark Void Hall only know how to make things difficult for me. Anything that can make you feel difficult, I must do it. What about it? The girl's voice was very soft. However, that tone of voice and the words that came out of his mouth, it could choke someone to death. Moreover, the young girl was still smiling. Her beautiful eyes were like a blooming flower that was blooming with beauty. This elder is not going to argue with you. Today, you must stay in the Anshu Hall. Second elder Jiang pointed the spear in his hand, his eyes darkening. Yes, 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 second elder, kill them, kill them. Third elder Jiang jumped out from the side and shouted, she killed the great leader of the Anshu Hall. If news of this gets out, how will the Anshu Hall remain in this world? And, the fourth elder was also killed by that woman. This is totally a provocation to our Jiang family's elder group. Third elder Jiang, don't slander me. Yi Qing Luo raised a slender finger and shook it lightly. The great leader was killed by your fourth elder Jiang, and, isn't your fourth elder still alive and well? I purposely spared his life. Yi Qing Luo's face was calm and composed. Don't try to throw the blame on me, I won't take the blame. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-29. She had her reasons for sparing fourth elder Jiang's life. Fourth elder Jiang killed Lu Sanzong. But it was to prevent Lu Sanzong from divulging more information to her. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly. Lu Sanzong said. She had something on her that the Dark Nether Palace wanted? And she had a vital role to the people behind the Dark Nether Palace? But what was Lu Sanzong's unfinished words? Fourth elder Jiang was more sensitive and his IQ was more on point. The last time Dmo Xian made a move, it had already made fourth elder Jiang suspect her and Dmo Xian's identity. Now that he had caught her, he wanted to find out more about the Dark Void Hall through Lu Sanzong. And the Jiang family's aristocrats, or rather, the people behind the Jiang family's aristocrats. It would only make him more suspicious of her identity and her motive. Just now, in front of the fourth elder Jiang, he had acted like a drama queen. It was to make fourth elder Jiang more convinced that she was the daughter-in-law of the Chao family's son, and also the Chao family's daughter-in-law. Anyway, fourth elder Jiang was basically crippled. No matter how strong his willpower was, he was afraid that it wouldn't be more than 48 hours. This amount of time was enough for him to pass on the news she wanted him to pass on to the Jiang family's aristocrats. But he didn't expect that there would suddenly be a second elder Jiang. This second elder Jiang looked like his status and ability was above Jiang San and Jiang Si. Now that he appeared at the Dark Void Hall headquarters, he must have specially rushed over to support them. Young lady, you know that the Dark Void Hall belongs to our Jiang family's aristocrats, but as the daughter-in-law of the Chao family, you actually created such a mess at the Dark Void Hall headquarters. Second Elder Jiang's long spear turned and the profound waves rippled. Young lady, are you representing the Chao family to declare war on our Jiang family's aristocrats? Io. This was escalating to a battle between the aristocrats. This second Elder Jiang was really powerful. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly, her smile remained unchanged as she casually glanced at him and chuckled, why do I feel that? The Jiang family's aristocrats are too ambitious and want to swallow the other aristocrats, so they are starting from a junior, intentionally trying to provoke a war between the two aristocrats? The young lady's casual attitude, but the words she said made one's heart tremble. Second Elder Jiang's face darkened. That solemn and cold face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost as he stared sharply at Yiqing Luo. Why are you glaring at me? Glaring at me can conceal the dirty thoughts in your heart? Yiqing Luo's charming brows were picturesque, her voice was serene and languid, without much emotional fluctuations. Second Elder Jiang was furious. Silly girl, don't be speechless. His face sunk as his long spear danced and he charged towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The long spear flashed through the air, leaving behind a cold glint. The silver light swayed and was extremely eye-catching. Yiqing Luo noticed. When Second Elder Jiang was attacking her, he was obviously paying attention to Dmo Xian's movements. It was obvious that he knew that Dmo Xian was the one who really needed his vigilance. He looked at the incoming spear. Yiqing Luo had no intention to avoid it. The slender and powerful arm around his waist exerted a little more strength. Her delicate body felt light. The man had already picked her up by the waist. Immediately after, a cold wind brushed past his cheeks. Sister, you, be careful. At the same time, a tender and crisp voice cried out with worry. It was accompanied by Bei Ming Lulu's flustered voice, Ze, don't go over. Your sister Yu is fine. Chapter 50-30. Under the man's protection, Yiqing Luo steadied herself. She lifted her eyes and looked in Jiang Zi's direction. She saw that the little figure was panting in her direction. Her big eyes were filled with worry, and the rims of her eyes were red. At this time, Bai Ming Lulu was pulling him. On seeing Yiqing Luo safe and sound, that little human then heaved a sigh of relief and stopped struggling, as he looked at Yiqing Luo with his misty eyes. Clearly, he was worried sick. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but curled her pink lips as she winked at Jiang Zi, indicating him not to worry. She interacted with Jiang Zi. What he didn't see was that Second Elder Jiang, who was waving his spear with an imposing aura, had suddenly stopped. He frowned slightly and murmured, Zi. What a familiar name. His vision swept past Yiqing Luo, looking directly towards the direction where that crisp little voice came from. Jiang Zi, who was dressed in clean clothes and had bright eyes and white teeth, looked very much like a young master of a noble family. His frown deepened. Why are you here? This low shout. Everyone turned to look at Second Elder Jiang. Yiqing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as her narrow eyes narrowed dangerously. Following his line of sight, she looked towards Jiang Zi. What did Second Elder Jiang mean by asking this question? Could it be, he knew Jiang Zi? However, Jiang Zi was obviously frightened by this roar. He stared blankly at Second Elder Jiang, his eyes filled with unfamiliarity. It was obvious that Jiang Zi did not know Second Elder Jiang. Therefore, who was Second Elder Jiang talking to just now? Perhaps he had sensed that the atmosphere around him had become a little strange. Second Elder Jiang's expression congealed slightly as he speedily retracted his gaze. Following that, he slammed his long spear onto the ground as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. Today, on account of the Chao family's aristocratic family, this elder shall let you off. The Anshu Hall's order to kill you will also be cancelled. If you cause trouble for the Anshu Hall again, don't blame this elder for being merciless. With that, he gripped his spear and turned to leave. Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. Huh? Why did second elder Jiang suddenly change his personality? Weren't they going to fight? She hadn't even made her move yet. The battle was over? Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers stroked her chin, her face unfathomable. Looks like second elder Jiang has surrendered to my innate majesty of a king. Everyone in the world group, the profound practitioners of Dark Void Hall. Although second elder Jiang's sudden action was indeed very strange. But, it didn't seem to have anything to do with her domineering aura, right? Third elder Jiang was also dumbfounded. Second elder Jiang's figure had already disappeared from his sight. Only then did he react, and he chased after second elder Jiang. Second elder, what are you doing? Releasing the tiger back to the mountain. Have you forgotten what she did to the Anshu Hall? How can we just let them go like this? Second elder Jiang was indeed a man of his word. Yi Qing Luo and the rest left the Dark Void Hall headquarters and left the city. There was also no news from the Anshu Hall. And the so-called bounty order was indeed cancelled. However, considering the current situation of the Anshu Hall, whether the killing order was cancelled or not, they didn't have the energy to continue chasing after them. It was until they reached a place which was 100 miles away from the Anshu Hall's headquarters. Yan Xiaoyi clicked her tongue. I somehow feel that Jiang family's aristocratic elder is playing some underhanded tricks behind our backs. Chapter 50-31. He obviously knows that only you have the antidote. Baiming Lulu nodded. Letting us go like this is to give up on those poisoned people in the Dark Void Hall. Qiao Yinyan's handsome face revealed a rare worry. Madam Qiao, what do you think? Second elder Jiang is planning? Their mission was originally to protect the safety of the Morning Cloud's Mu Yu couple because of the Dark Void Hall's kill order. Now that the Dark Void Hall had cancelled the kill order. But that didn't mean that the couple was safe. Second elder Jiang's operation made everyone scratch their heads in confusion. Yi Qing Luo's fingertips twirled the hair on her shoulder as she smiled coquettishly, without a hint of worry. Hearing Qiao Yinyan's question, she nonchalantly raised her eyes. Her long and charming eyes slightly curved as she smiled and said, "Didn't I say that you submitted to my domineering aura, so, you submitted." These words, Miss Mu Yu, do you believe it yourself? Baiming Lulu couldn't bear to ridicule. Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly, but had no intention of replying. She glanced at Jiang Ziyi from the corner of her eyes. Her charming eyes rippled with a faint light. Second elder Jiang should have suddenly changed his mind after seeing Jiang Ziyi. Although Jiang Ziyi didn't know second elder Jiang. But he seemed to be second elder Jiang. He was shocked by Jiang Ziyi's existence. If she didn't guess wrongly. Yi Qing Luo's eyes squinted, adding a tinge of treacherous danger. Her vision swept past a certain direction not far behind her. Her pink lips curled slightly, the arc was mischievous and full of evil intentions. After that, she casually retracted her vision. Her hand encircled the man's arm, leaning her head on his arm as she laughed softly. Things have become interesting. The few of them walked for several hours. The sky darkened. Yi Qing Luo directly found an abandoned temple to rest. After piling up the fire, Yi Qing Luo let the few of them go look for some wild game. Not long after Yan Xiaoyi and the rest left, Yi Qing Luo looked at the moonlight outside and asked Jiang Ziyi to stay here while she pulled Dmo Xian out of the abandoned courtyard to watch the moon, enjoying the two of them alone. Before Yi Qing Luo left, she specially exhorted, "If there's any danger, just shout my name, I'll be right outside." Jiang Zi nodded his little head. About half an hour later, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest returned with a few edible wild animals in their hands. When he saw Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian under the moonlight, his face was filled with black lines. Why does it feel like, the reason why Lady Muyu sent them out to hunt for wild animals was to spend some time alone with her husband? Seeing Yan Xiaoyi and the rest return, Yiqing Luo also pulled Dmo Xian up. They returned to the abandoned temple together. Chapter 50-32. Baiming Lu's face was filled with concern as she stretched out her hand and gently caressed his head. Ze, what's the matter? Are you frightened by being here alone? Her hand had just touched Jiang Ze. The little boy seemed as though he was startled as he suddenly raised his head and shrunk backwards. He raised his head. Everyone saw Jiang Ze's bright eyes and white teeth face, which was filled with tear stains. After a few days of interaction, everyone had a good impression of this obedient and sensible child. Instantly, their hearts started to ache. They all comforted Jiang Ze. But Jiang Ze didn't say a single word as his little fists were tightly clenched. The stalemate lasted for a joss stick's time. A clear voice suppressed everyone's concerned voices as it rang in the air above the abandoned temple. Do you have something to tell me? Under the flickering fire, the peach robe and jet black-haired young lady's figure was swaying so much that it looked illusory. But that leisurely voice was still soft and there wasn't much emotion in it. That little fellow who had been persuaded by everyone for half a day without any response. Slowly, he raised his head as his red eyes looked towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo slowly walked towards him and squatted down in front of him with a gentle smile. Say what you want. She had just squatted down. That little boy suddenly dashed towards Yiqing Luo. Both his hands hugged Yiqing Luo. Sister, I only believe you. I only believe you. Jiang Ze's voice was hoarse from crying as he repeated this sentence with a sobbing tone. Yiqing Luo, who was suddenly hugged by the little fellow, also felt uneasy as she pushed his hands away. Adding on to the fact that there was a death stare behind her, it made Yiqing Luo's heart beat fast. But she moved. Jiang Ze cried even more fiercely as he desperately tightened his arms. She could only give up as she used her gaze to appease a certain man whose face was as black as charcoal. Her man. Even if he was just a 10-year-old child. After all, he was still a little boy. The vinegar jar could be overturned in minutes. She gently caressed Jiang Ze's back. Whatever you want to say, just tell me. Jiang Ze cried for a while before he calmed down. Her bright eyes and pearly teeth were streaked with tears. He sniffed and raised his head to look at Yiqing Luo. Sister, you will believe me, right? Yiqing Luo chuckled, took out a handkerchief and stuffed it into his hand. From the moment you chose to follow me, you are one of us. Jiang Ze lowered his head and glanced cautiously at Yan Xiaoyi and the rest. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest were looking at him worriedly. Seeing his action, how could he not understand what he meant? Baiming Lulu was the first to stand up. Carrying the game, she said, I'm going to sort out these things first. Come and help me. Just as they were about to walk out of the ruined temple, Jiang Ze then whispered, It's not that I don't trust you. I'm just afraid that you will think that I'm a bad boy. Without waiting for their reply, he lowered his head and continued in a low voice, Just now when you weren't here, that second elder Jiang came. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's expression immediately tensed up. What? He's here? Did he do anything to you? The few of them were feeling anxious. However, that young lady with black hair and peach-colored clothes was extremely calm. As though she had already guessed it long ago. Jiang Ze also sensed Yiqing Luo's silence as he raised his little head and looked at the young lady's serene eyes as he asked in a daze, Sister, you Don't tell me you already knew that he would come and look for me? Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-33. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled upwards as she met Jiang Zi's gaze gently, and instead of answering, she asked, "Why is he looking for you?" These words were considered as tacit agreement. She indeed knew that second elder Jiang would look for Jiang Zi alone. The brothers in the world group also understood what was going on. No wonder Yiqing Luo chose this abandoned temple to rest. She even specially sent them away. It was all for the sake of giving second elder Jiang a chance. Although Jiang Zi was young, but he who grew up in the slums had a quick mind. He immediately understood the cause and effect of Yiqing Luo's actions. He pursed his lips as his little fists clenched tightly as his eyes revealed some worries. "Don't tell me. Elder sister isn't afraid that I will really leave with second elder Jiang? You won't." Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she looked at him smilingly. Her voice was very gentle. "I believe you, moreover. I've made the right bet, isn't it?" Jiang Zi's red eyes stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Yiqing Luo caressed his head in an attempt to pacify him. "Don't have any psychological pressure. You believe me and I naturally believe you too. Sister, you." The young man's voice was slightly choked. He wanted to pounce into Yiqing Luo's arms again. But this thought had just surfaced. A cold gaze that was as sharp as a blade shot straight at him. The current Jiang Zi was no longer as helpless as earlier, as he had calmed down by quite a bit. When this gaze pierced over, he was completely frozen on the spot, not daring to move at all. Yiqing Luo naturally knew the reason why Jiang Zi became like this. She stared at the man behind her who was emitting a cold intent. "He's already badly frightened, stop scaring him." The man in the bamboo-colored long robe leaned against the wall as he pursed his dark red thin lips slightly as he spat out a word in a tsundere manner. She looked so obedient and sweet. But that pair of obsidian-like black pupils was flowing with a sinister dark glint. It made him look like a fusion between an angel and a devil. Handsome, elegant, unparalleled. Yiqing Luo. This man, he did it on purpose. Handsome man trap. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared at him as she communicated silently with her eyes. "You're such a torturous little demoness, I'll deal with you later." Dmo Xian raised his thin lips. Yiqing Luo withdrew her line of sight, determined not to let his handsome man trick make her forget the proper business. "Don't be afraid, he did it on purpose to distract your attention." Yiqing Luo reluctantly found an unconvincing excuse to explain for Dmo Xian. Jiang Zi took a careful look at Dmo Xian, as he didn't dare to lean into Yiqing Luo's arms. He hugged his tiny legs. Under the light of the fire, his porcelain white face was filled with shame and disbelief. I think I have a special relationship with second elder Jiang and the others." "Special relationship?" Yan Xiaoyi and the rest repeated these words curiously. "What special relationship?" I think I'm a member of the Jiang clan." When the little guy said this, his head was almost buried in his knees. Her two small hands clenched the trousers on her knees. He seemed to be afraid and worried. They would despise him for that. The surroundings were silent. Jiang Zi buried his head for a long time and couldn't hear any sound around him. His heart was beating like a small drum as he felt uneasy. After waiting for a while, he still didn't hear anyone's response. He carefully lifted his head. In front of him, under the light of the fire, his brothers and sisters were smiling at him. "Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love." Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love. Chapter 50-34. Their handsome faces were filled with gentle smiles that did not carry any malice. Like a hot spring. It warmed his body and mind. Jiang Ziyi gave a blank smile as he stared blankly at the few people in front of him. Finally willing to raise your head. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, slightly curved her charming eyes, the arc was rippling, which made her delicate brows look even more gentle and elegant. Baiming Lulu hugged him in her arms and rubbed his little head, saying, "Why are you so afraid? So what if you are from the Jiang family? This doesn't mean that you will hurt us." "Cuckoo, I am from the Jiang family." Jiang Ziyi's voice was still choking. Because of the Jiang family, Brother Zhan became like that. And it is also because of the Jiang family that there is the Dark Void Hall. But this has nothing to do with you. Yiqing Luo was gentle and patient. Jiang Ziyi's eyes were red as tears gushed out. After knowing this news, he was completely dumbfounded. There was no ecstasy like what Second Elder Jiang had said. There was only endless fear and terror. He was afraid that his identity would be despised by these brothers and sisters. Fear that his identity would make them hate him. Even himself. They all hated the Jiang family. Not to mention those brothers and sisters who were harmed by the Jiang family. But now, looking at these brothers and sisters in front of him, emitting kindness and gentleness, that restless little heart finally calmed down. "Sister Yu." Jiang Ziyi sniffed and thought of the serious matter that Second Elder Jiang arranged a task for me. Yiqing Luo wasn't surprised at all. What task? Early on when Second Elder Jiang saw Jiang Ziyi's performance, Yiqing Luo had already guessed something. Later on, Second Elder Jiang let them go. But he secretly asked someone to follow them. Yiqing Luo had basically guessed the entire sequence of events clearly. Jiang Ziyi pursed his lips and took out a palm-sized jade box from his sleeve. He asked me, after you fall asleep, to open this thing and place it beside you. What is this? Yan Xiaoyi stretched out her hand and took the jade box, sizing it up. Then she was about to open the jade box. "Don't open," a hurried voice interrupted Yan Xiaoyi's actions. Immediately after, a fair little hand grasped Yan Xiaoyi's wrist and snatched the jade box away. "You can't open this jade box." Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes as she stared at the jade box in her palm with a grave expression. Everyone's gaze shifted to the jade box. Yiqing Luo weighed the jade box in her hand as a biting cold glint appeared between her brows. "What is inside? Do you know about it?" Baiming Lulu showed great curiosity. She asked Jiang Zi to place the things beside Mu Yu while she was sleeping. "Could it be? What kind of poison is it?" Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up bit by bit, the gloomy cold glint in her eyes became deeper and deeper. "If I didn't guess wrongly, the thing inside is witchcraft." When the word witchcraft came out of his mouth, the expressions of the world group's 4 people froze. Their gazes were fixated on the jade box without blinking. His fingers clenched into a fist. Witchcraft? That kind of witchcraft which caused them to separate from group leader? Yiqing Luo's gaze looked towards Jiang Ziyi. "You haven't opened it before, right?" No. Jiang Ziyi shook his little head. Chapter 50-35. That's good. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly, as her fingertips caressed the jade box, her pink lips curled up slightly. "This thing, temporarily hand it over to me for safekeeping. If there's a chance, I'll let Second Elder Jiang have a taste of this witchcraft goo." Yan Xiaoyi thought about how she had almost opened the jade box and cursed Second Elder Jiang with gritted teeth. Second Elder Jiang looks so fierce, but I didn't expect him to be so cowardly. Why are you playing such insidious tricks in the dark? why don't you face them head-on? Xiao Jin comforted her in a low voice. Yiqing Luo squatted down and looked at Jiang Ziyi at the same level. I know, Second Elder Jiang might have made a lot of promises to you, and you. If you choose Second Elder Jiang, perhaps in the future, you will be able to live a life above all others. But you still chose to believe in me. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly, so, you don't have to think too much. No matter who you are, or what your identity is, or what you will become in future, as long as you want to stay by our side, we will bring you along. Jiang Ziyi's tears, which he had managed to stop with great difficulty, gushed out again. He wiped the tears off his face and sniffled. I'm not interested in what he said. I don't want it either. I just want to be with Sister Yu and everyone else. I don't want to go to some Jiang family noble family. I don't want those promises he made. As he spoke, he lowered his head. I don't want to become a bad person. Yiqing Luo wanted to say that following them might not necessarily turn her into a good person. After all, they were not necessarily good people. But, compare that to the nobles of the Jiang family. In any case, they were considered to have a bottom line. At the very least, they wouldn't kill innocents to achieve their goals. Tomorrow, he will definitely look for you again. Yiqing Luo said, remember, don't stray too far from us. Jiang Zi nodded obediently. His eyes were red and his nose was sniffing. He looked quite pitiful. Yiqing Luo took a look at Bei Ming Lu. Go deal with the wild animals. He's been crying for so long, he's probably hungry. It was a peaceful night. Nothing much happened. After Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, she acutely sensed the rustling of the bushes outside the abandoned temple. If one didn't listen carefully, they would only think that it was the sound of grass rustling in the wind. She raised her eyebrows. She looked up and met the man's inky eyes. She got out of the man's arms and smiled. You heard it too? He should be here to check if that little fellow had followed the agreement and placed the witchcraft worm into your body. When Dmo Xian said this sentence, his voice was filled with malice. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her long and narrow eyes rose. No matter, this kind of child's play, it's not worth for us to put it on ourselves. Let's find a chance to give them a taste of their own medicine. Dmo Xian pinched her waist. Be careful, this is the God realm, don't play with your face till it's wasted. The disguise was to deceive others. How long had it been? The world had already been turned upside down. Yiqing Luo buried her head into his chest. Yes, 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 I will take note. You too, so sweet early in the morning. At the side, Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin had already woken up. Yan Xiaoyi looked at the two of them who were stuck together with disdain. The two people in the world group who love to flaunt their affection the most, are not as sticky as the two of you. Yiqing Luo. If she didn't guess wrongly, the one who Yan Xiaoyi mentioned, loved to flaunt their affection the most, was probably referring to her. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.